Chapter 213. These guys have already sensed that something is wrong. Does that mean that the remnant soul of the fire Kirin has also discovered me? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly and glanced at the source of light in the distance. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. To the fire Kirin, this Sumeru world was a farm where it could harvest life energy at any time. He had killed the monsters in the periphery. Although overall, the life energy provided by these monsters combined might not be as much as the life energy provided by a master, no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. The fire Kirin kept capturing monsters and humans from the outside world to this place because its life energy was not enough to break through the barrier between life and death and allow it, who had already died, to return to this world. This behavior continued until it turned this area into the infamous ghost realm of the Hungduan Mountains. However, it was still thinking of ways to create ghosts like Hua Sanyang to trick more prey for itself. This was very reasonable. After all, life and death were reincarnations. Even the existence of the wild demon realm would have an end to its lifespan. Unless one could transcend the rules of this world, immortality was just a joke. In order to break the reincarnation between life and death, even if one had the means to do so, one must pay a sufficient price. Lin Yuan wantonly killed monsters in the light source and turned them into attribute points for himself. This could be considered as snatching food. After all, after the demon beasts fought each other, even if a part of their flesh was eaten, the remaining bones would be devoured by the black mist outside and turned into tiny wisps of weak life energy for the fire Qilin. However, the system had already refined the life energy of the monsters killed by Lin Yuan into attribute points. Even if the black fog devoured them, the fire Kirin would not benefit at all. After all, the devouring formation set up by the fire Kirin was just a joke in the eyes of the system. Lin Yuan was a little nervous. He stayed in the same place for about 10 minutes, but nothing unusual happened. Lin Yuan was not sure whether the remnant soul of the fire Kirin had not discovered him or was afraid of him, so it did not appear rashly. This is not the right attitude. Even if you are afraid of me, you should at least appear in front of me and open a path for me to leave this place. I can promise that we will not interfere in each other's business in the future. I can pretend that nothing happened these past few days. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes swayed from side to side as he asked tentatively. Unfortunately, there was still no response. The fire Kirin was like a turtle that had retreated into its shell. No matter how the rain and wind blew outside, it did not move it. Lin Yuan had no other choice but to go to the Kirins he had already chosen. He had come here for the fire Kirin in the first place. Whether it was the life energy stored by the Kirin formation here or the materials on the fire Kirin's corpse, Lin Yuan was very interested in them. Therefore, even if the fire Kirin's remnant soul had sent him to the spatial node, Lin Yuan would not have any thoughts of leaving. He only wanted to test the strength of the fire Kirin's remnant soul. If the Kirin was really afraid of him, then some of his subsequent plans could be changed slightly, and he should be able to leave this place much earlier. After all, this was an existence that could be mentioned in the same breath as the Beast Lord Kirin when it was alive. Even if only a strand of its remnant soul was left after its death, it was still not to be underestimated. Even if it only had 1/10 of its strength left, it would still be enough to give Lin Yuan a hard time. However, the fire Kirin refused to appear, nor did it give Lin Yuan a chance to test its strength. It did not even want to communicate with him, directly leaving him here to fend for himself. As such, he could only continue killing. At the same time, about 1,500 meters above Lin Yuan, an eye that looked like a burning flame slowly opened. Every formation master had to have more than 90% control over their own formations. Therefore, ever since Lin Yuan entered the Sumeru world, he had been under the surveillance of the fire Kirin's remnant soul. However, Lin Yuan's existence was beyond the fire Kirin's knowledge, so it did not dare to show itself in front of Lin Yuan. Coupled with Lin Yuan's previous actions, it was obvious that he knew what the formation here was, and also knew who was behind the scenes. He just did not directly reveal it to the public. However, fear was fear. In the end, the fire Kirin did not treat Lin Yuan as an equal opponent. It had obtained this formation by chance when it was alive, and once it was deployed, it had always been successful. It had never seen any life form that could withstand the devouring power of this formation, but this black snake was unharmed. Originally, the fire Kirin was just a little curious, but after Lin Yuan started killing, its attitude slowly began to change. This black snake was definitely an incomparably terrifying existence. As the controller of the formation, it could clearly sense that a large amount of energy in the bodies of the monsters killed by the black snake was directly harvested by some strange power and then entered the black snake's body. Moreover, this energy seemed to be instantly transformed and refined into something that the black snake could use. In just 2 days, the black snake's cultivation had increased by 2 whole levels. With the fire Kirin's knowledge, it naturally reacted quickly. This black snake had definitely mastered some kind of devouring method that was even more powerful than its own. It was also because of this method that the devouring formation it had set up was unable to do anything to the black snake. If the fire Kirin's remnant soul had just awakened, it might have let the black snake go, thinking that it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. At most, it would have warned it to keep its mouth shut. However, the area where it was buried had become a ghost town. The monsters of the Hengduan mountain range regarded this place as a forbidden area. The Shunwu dynasty, which had been repeatedly damaged in the Stoneclaw Forest and even destroyed Jianshan City, was even more jittery. Recently, no demon slayer dared to enter the Hengduan mountain range. After all, no one knew where the demonized Fang Tian would go, or when the next monster tide would erupt. With Jianshan City as an example, no one dared to act rashly. Even in places that weren't affected by the incident at Jianshan City, the frequency of demon slayers entering the Hengduan mountain range to hunt had been greatly reduced. After all, although the 7 dynasties of the human race didn't get along well with each other, they had always shared information about monsters. Therefore, the appearance of a monster king that dared to destroy a human city and wasn't afraid of human retaliation was an extremely dangerous signal. Thus, when the fire Qilin sensed the black snake harvesting the other party's energy, it had some thoughts. If the conversion rate of the fire Qilin's devouring method was 1:1, then the conversion rate of the black snake's devouring method was 1:10. It was many times better than this devouring array. If it could obtain the black snake's devouring method, it could improve the devouring inscription in this formation. Even if it couldn't catch any new prey, it might be able to revive after absorbing the remaining monsters. Chapter 214. I'll choose you. The blazing eyes scanned the light source for a moment and finally chose an intelligent perception level 8 demonic beast. Immediately after, a hint of pain flashed across the demonic beast's eyes. Whoosh! In an instant, the demonic beast that was resting on the ground suddenly stood up. A ball of orange-red flames burned all over its body, and these flames were still wriggling non-stop, reconstructing its form. In less than 2 breaths, with this demonic beast as the foundation, a flaming bear slowly appeared in front of the nearby demonic beasts. Its aura also suddenly increased by a notch. Ding! Detected hostility. The system is scanning. Mission: Great luck. Officially activated. The 2 system notifications pulled Lin Yuan back from the edge of being absent-minded. In the next moment, a stunned expression flashed across Lin Yuan's face. He turned his head and looked in front of him. In an instant, a cloud of dust rose up in front of him. It looked like many demonic beasts were charging in his direction. Lin Yuan's eyes revealed a hint of doubt. Weren't these intelligent perception demonic beasts unable to get too close to each other, or else they would easily lose their rationality? But looking at the demonic beasts charging in front of him, Lin Yuan didn't see any signs of internal strife. Pairs of scarlet eyes all fell on Lin Yuan, as if they wanted to tear Lin Yuan to shred. Lin Yuan lightly flicked his tongue and glanced at the scene in the olfactory imaging. In the middle of the attacking demonic beast horde, there was a flaming bear overseeing it. Every step it took on the ground was like a heavy drum beat. This flaming bear was very unusual. Generally speaking, demonic beasts had strong physiques. Almost not many demonic beasts would use their innate abilities to enhance themselves. 90% of demonic beasts would use their innate abilities to make up for their lack of long-range attacks in battle. Unless it was an ability that was especially suitable for enhancing themselves or an ability that couldn't be used to attack, Only then would they do so. This flaming bear gave Lin Yuan a strange feeling. Moreover, there seemed to be something wrong with the flaming bear's footsteps. In the olfactory imaging, Lin Yuan had seen demonic beasts that wanted to kill each other more than once, but when the flaming bear's footsteps landed, the demonic beasts would instantly regain their senses and once again charge at Lin Yuan in an orderly manner. Even a mountain lord demonic beast wouldn't have such an ability. Moreover, from the aura of this flaming bear, it was most likely only at intelligent perception level 8 or 9. The fire Kirin made its move. A strange color flashed through Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes. According to his original expectations, the fire Kirin should have appeared once to test the capabilities of this predator of his, or maybe it didn't want to get involved with him at all, and found a suitable opportunity to directly throw him out of the spatial node or something. Lin Yuan had even considered that in order to avoid unnecessary complications, this fellow might even use a powerful force to directly suppress him. But what the hell was with this demonic beast horde in front of him? Lin Yuan could even feel gazes sweeping over from the depths of the light source. Obviously, they had noticed this flaming bear that had organized the demonic beast horde to attack the black serpent. Very soon, these experts who had communicated with each other realized that the fellow that the black serpent had mentioned, the one that had been plotting against them, had really appeared. That fellow is my subordinate. It was originally an intelligent perception level 8 frigid snow bear. Moreover, it was a rare dual-element demonic beast that had both an increase in strength and control of ice. Although after it lost its mind, it didn't contact me for a long time, but I can be sure that it definitely doesn't have the ability to control fire. A mountain lord demonic beast bit his lips and said with a resentful expression, "Ice and fire are two things that can't be mixed. This kind of talent can't appear in the same demonic beast." "Ah, so you're telling me that the mastermind behind the scenes that Zhu Xinghai mentioned before also has the ability to use fire to control our bodies, right?" A Heaven Dipper realm human laughed dryly, but his legs were slightly trembling. A intelligent perception level 8 demonic beast and a mountain lord demonic beast were an entire realm apart. But everyone knew that when a demonic beast had just broken through to the mountain lord realm, its battle prowess might not be comparable to when they were in the intelligent perception realm. The person behind the scenes actually didn't panic at all when dealing with an existence like the black serpent. He could casually control an intelligent perception level 8 demonic beast for his own use. This was the true reason why he felt fear. After all, he was only a cultivator that had just stepped into the Heaven Dipper realm. In terms of pure strength, he might not be as strong as the frigid snow bear. If the mastermind behind the scenes could easily control the frigid snow bear, then it meant that he could easily be controlled as well. If you're scared, then go back and wait for your death. Why do you keep following us around for no reason? The doomed star sea rolled his eyes, and his expression was cold and gloomy as he replied in a bad mood. The appearance of the mastermind behind the scenes had already proven what the black serpent said to him. Compared to dying in battle, Zhu Xinghai didn't want to die in some corner of this place. He didn't even want to die in peace. Even his corpse would be refined into pure life energy by the enemy's formation. Although Zhu Xinghai hadn't done anything yet, in his eyes, this cowardly human cultivator's words were like slaps to his face. "Xinghai, what do you say? Should we go and help that black serpent?" Another human cultivator asked with a solemn expression. As someone who had a good relationship with Zhu Xinghai, he could guess Zhu Xinghai's thoughts. But he didn't understand why Zhu Xinghai could still sit there calmly as if nothing had happened. "Let's wait a while more." Zhu Xinghai crossed his arms in front of his chest. He had a cold smile on his face as he said coldly, "This black serpent wants to cooperate with us. Naturally it can't just rely on its mouth. Let's look at the situation first. It's best if we can wait until this brat can't take it anymore before we make a move. We can also make it owe us a huge favor." Not only was the fire Kirin thinking about Lin Yuan's secret of devouring other life forms, Zhu Xinghai also thought about the black serpent when he knew that he wouldn't be able to recover all of his life force. After all, a demonic beast that dared to fight against an unknown terrifying existence definitely had a huge secret on it. "Today, I'll send you 3 chapters. I'll continue to ask for monthly votes. Every 20 votes, I'll add one more chapter tilde. Chapter 215. Lin Yuan bent down slightly, dodging the tail of a snake demon. He glanced in the direction of Yu Xinghai and the other Heavenly Dipper realm powerhouses from the corner of his eyes. It was as if he had detected their existence across an endless distance. His eyes only revealed a trace of coldness, and he quickly returned to his original appearance. The relationship between the wartime alliance wasn't stable to begin with. This was within Lin Yuan's expectations. Now that the Fire Kirin's remnant soul had just attacked Lin Yuan, it didn't even reveal its own strength. Even the flaming violent bear that it highly valued didn't have any thoughts of confronting Lin Yuan. It only stepped on the ground from time to time, creating a drum-like sound, allowing the surrounding monster beasts to maintain their rationality. The Fire Kirin's remnant soul maintained this inconspicuous posture, which was enough to intimidate these existences. After all, for it to casually throw out an intelligence realm level 9 monster beast as the vanguard, its strength had probably long surpassed that of an ordinary mountain lord. Just this alone is far from enough. Lin Yuan dodged the sweeping tail of the snake demon, but he couldn't block the pounce of a black panther. He was pressed to the ground by the black panther in an instant. Then, the black panther began to crazily bite Lin Yuan's body. When the surrounding monster beasts saw that Lin Yuan was under control, they all surrounded him, their eyes filled with malice. Even if the Fire Kirin's remnant soul didn't cause trouble, these monster beasts would have made a move on Lin Yuan sooner or later. Right now, they were just doing it ahead of time. They were very clear about what would happen to them if they allowed Lin Yuan to continue growing. Dozens of monster beasts attacked at the same time, each attack using their full strength. However, in front of Lin Yuan's terrifying defense, this bit of attack power was like scratching an itch. It wasn't enough to pose a threat to Lin Yuan. The flaming violent bear's performance didn't change at all. It acted as a bystander and didn't have the slightest intention of attacking Lin Yuan. After another 5 or 6 minutes, Lin Yuan suddenly twisted his body and the snake demon's tail suddenly exerted force. The black panther on Lin Yuan's body was suddenly twisted into meat paste and stuck to Lin Yuan's body. A boundless and terrifying aura slowly emitted from Lin Yuan's body. The flaming violent bear expressionlessly took 2 steps forward, trampling 2 monster beasts that were constantly retreating in fear to death. Then, it looked at Lin Yuan and said in a deep voice, "Black Snake Demon, you know what I want. As long as you're willing to give it to me, I'll make you become the co-ruler of man and monster beast." Co-ruler. Lin Yuan sneered and replied, "You're quite generous. However, you've spent so much effort to resurrect yourself. Are you willing to give up something that's within your reach? You don't really think that this king will believe your so-called fallacious reasoning of being able to stabilize the country forever, do you? Co-ruler of man and monster beasts. This position is very important. Are you going to give it to me just like that?" The flaming violent bear didn't attack immediately, and Lin Yuan wasn't in a hurry to make a move either. A playful smile flashed across his heterochromatic eyes as he leisurely replied. The flaming violent bear slowly spread out its hands. There was a hint of laughter in its voice as it said, "Black Snake Demon, you have some incredible secrets. However, you're still too immature right now. Compared to becoming the co-ruler of man and monster beasts, I want to return to this world. I want to return to this world. Otherwise, everything is just empty talk. Do you understand what I mean?" The Fire Kirin's voice contained a hint of mockery. The Black Snake Demon was only in existence at Wisdom Realm Level 6. At its peak, it was an existence that could wrestle with Beast Lord Kirin. Once it completely resurrected and returned to this world, those fellows from back then would all have to pay an incomparably painful price. Raising a Black Snake Demon was only a matter of convenience for it. Therefore, although the Fire Kirin's suggestion contained a sense of superiority, it didn't have any thoughts of slaughtering the Black Snake Demon after eating it clean. Is that so? Unfortunately, I really can't think of anything that I can help you with. Lin Yuan shook his snake head and replied to the flaming violent bear. In the image formed by his sense of smell, the conversation between him and the flaming violent bear was all heard by those powerhouses. At this moment, all the powerhouses, including Jinxing High, were ready to make a move. The Black Snake Demon was a sharp blade against the mastermind behind the scenes. Although they didn't put it in their eyes, if the Black Snake Demon allied with the mastermind behind the scenes, it wouldn't benefit them at all. Moreover, the mastermind behind the scenes obviously wanted to obtain something from the Black Snake Demon. Once it succeeded, their situation would become even more precarious. The flaming violent bear lightly pressed its palm. After all, it was the lord of the Sumeru world, so it naturally had some privileges. So at the same time that the flaming violent bear pressed its palm down, a huge bookshelf appeared in front of Lin Yuan. The flaming violent bear walked to the side of the bookshelf and said with a smile, "These are the absolute arts that I have collected over the years. There are all kinds of methods that humans use to cultivate their qi, and there are also methods that monsters use to cultivate their innate abilities. Once, out of curiosity, I cultivated a monster that didn't have any innate talent into an existence that cultivates ice, water, and wind. As long as you have the perseverance, as long as the innate attributes you choose don't conflict with each other, I can guarantee that you will cultivate a new innate talent." Lin Yuan's eyes flashed with a hint of interest. He licked his lips and asked, "What do you mean by that? I won't take advantage of you. What you see is my sincerity. As long as you are willing to teach me your method of devouring energy, you can choose any 3 of the absolute arts here. In addition, after I revive, I can take you away from here and slowly support you and your forces. This is a win-win deal. How about it?" The flaming violent bear's head, which was made up of flames, slowly opened its mouth and revealed a slightly sinister smile. When it said these words, the flaming Kirin naturally used its special assistant to block the perception of those who were watching. Whether it was the method that Lin Yuan possessed that could devour other people's energy, or the absolute arts that the flaming Kirin had collected, if any of them were to spread to the outside world, it would instantly set off a bloody storm. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes slowly turned as he stared expressionlessly at the flaming violent bear. Then, he shook his head and said in a low voice, "Although I'm really tempted, I'm sorry, but I really don't have the method of devouring energy that you mentioned." Lin Yuan wasn't pretending to be stupid, but the existence of the mighty power from the system prevented him from voluntarily revealing the existence of the system. Otherwise, the system would have obliterated him before the flaming Kirin could make a move. This is an update with 120 monthly votes. Chapter 216. You don't know what's good for you. The fire Kirin was furious when it saw that the black serpent did not take the bait. As an existence that could be compared to the beast lord in the past, the fire Kirin had pride in its bones. In the past, if it had taken a fancy to something on the black serpent, it would have taken it by force, by hook or by crook. However, after staying here for so long and encountering such an interesting junior, the fire Kirin was moved to appreciate this talent. If it was in the past, it would not have taken an existence like the black serpent seriously at all. "We still have to fight." Lin Yuan slightly narrowed his eyes and muttered without the slightest bit of fear. Powerful auras rose from the distance and fixed on the fiery bear almost at the same time. Originally, they were worried that the black serpent would join forces with the mastermind behind the scenes to deal with them. After all, the black serpent could escape into the darkness at any time, and they still had not found out who the mastermind behind the scenes was. Therefore, if they joined forces, almost every living creature here would have a headache. However, when they saw the fiery bear's aura pause, it was obvious that it had not reached an agreement with the black serpent. They could no longer hold back. If these 2 guys started the next round of negotiations and the black serpent was persuaded, they would be in a passive position. After all, among all the living creatures present, only the black serpent might know who the mastermind behind the scenes was. Roar. The fiery bear let out an angry roar as it was stared at by everyone. It did not pay any attention to these fellows that it had been keeping in captivity. Instead, it strode towards Lin Yuan in front of it and smashed a pair of claws made of flames down heavily. Invisible ice. Condense. A light flashed in Lin Yuan's multicolored eyes. The water attribute spiritual qi that he had long condensed into a crystal clear spear in front of the fiery bear. In an instant, it pierced through the fiery bear's chest. After that, it was directly evaporated into steam by the flames on the fiery bear's body. Lin Yuan could even clearly see the bloody hole after the ice spear evaporated. Inside it was a heart that did not beat. Even if the ice spear pierced through the heart, it still did not affect the fiery bear's movements. Boom! The flaming violent bear's claw suddenly fell, and while Lin Yuan was unprepared, it heavily smashed onto his head, directly smashing his entire body into the ground about 3 meters deep. The snake's head kept shaking back and forth, and its head was filled with a buzzing sound. F***ck. He had been cheated. Lin Yuan had seen the process of the frigid snow bear turning into a fiery bear using his olfactory imaging. At first, he thought that the fire Kirin's remnant soul had possessed the frigid snow bear. But now, it seemed that the frigid snow bear had died the moment it was possessed by the flames. Instead of saying that the frigid snow bear was a derivative of the frigid snow bear, it would be more accurate to say that it was a pure elemental creature. There was only one way to kill elemental creatures. Cut off this fellow's connection with the fire element, and it would naturally collapse. If he could not do that, he could only use the stupidest method, and that was to extinguish the fiery bear. If this was the outside world, Lin Yuan naturally would not be so weak. As long as there was enough water, let alone a fiery bear, he would even dare to deal with a fire titan. But in this Sumeru world, other than the fire element's spiritual energy, there was not much spiritual energy of other elements. The ice spear just now was the best result Lin Yuan had obtained after all his effort. If the elemental aspect did not work, then he could only fight with his own strength. Lin Yuan stabilized his body and pulled himself out of the ground. His heterochromatic eyes sized up the fiery bear, silently calculating its movements and guessing its next move. You overestimate yourself. The fiery bear sneered, and its body moved violently again. Its flaming claws once again smashed towards Lin Yuan's face. Thorny whip. The moment the skill was launched, Lin Yuan's snake tail suddenly grew black barbs, like thorns on a vine. The next moment, the black snake tail swept past. Although it was launched later, it arrived first. Without waiting for the fiery bear to attack him, the snake tail had already smashed into its arm. Whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of burning flames, the fiery bear's claw fell to the ground, turning into a ball of flames that twisted for a while, and then slowly dissipated. At the same time, the fiery bear's wrist slowly squirmed, and a new bear claw condensed. Glancing at Lin Yuan, who had adjusted his posture, the fiery bear shook its head and laughed. Interesting. This body was not made of flesh and blood. Aside from the frigid snow bear that was wrapped in flames as fuel, the rest of the body was made of fire elements. Logically speaking, the snake tail should directly pass through its flaming claws, and then it would smash Lin Yuan's head again. However, it did not expect that Lin Yuan's tail swing could actually damage the body of elements, and even directly break its arm. Lin Yuan also reacted at this moment, and a hint of fear flashed through his heterochromatic eyes. Fortunately, the skill he used was Thorny Whip, or else it would have been equivalent to not hitting at all. Thorny Whip's physical damage was almost completely negated by the fiery bear's claw, but the skill's true damage was one of the great powers of the system. As long as it was hit by Lin Yuan's skill, there was no possibility of dodging it. Rumble. Rumble. The snake tail fell to the ground, and a tremor spread out, and a black crack slowly appeared on the ground. The fiery bear roared and flexed its newly formed claws, its eyes filled with coldness. Black Snake, I hope you carefully consider what I said before. Before I completely lose my patience, you can make a deal with me at any time. You know how to contact me. The fiery bear did not immediately attack Lin Yuan, and a mocking expression flashed across its face. The experts just happened to arrive, and before they could even prepare for battle, they saw the huge fiery bear suddenly turn into a wisp of smoke and disappear in front of them. Where is it? A mountain lord demon beast looked around and suddenly shuddered in fear. Although they had just arrived, it wasn't as if they hadn't seen Lin Yuan's previous battle. None of them wanted to encounter an existence that could freely take over another's body. Moreover, this thing was an elemental body. Not only was it immune to physical damage, it could even appear and disappear in thin air. Being targeted by such an existence was like having a sharp sword hanging over their heads at all times. Under the immense pressure, everyone's faces were grave. The mastermind behind the scenes was much more difficult to deal with than they had imagined. This is an update for 140 monthly votes. Members have a guaranteed monthly vote every month. Please help me vote. Chapter 217. But even if it was difficult to deal with, they still had to deal with it. Although they had been trapped here for many years, they had never given up on the hope of leaving this place. Now that the black snake had appeared, it was like a huge rock that was thrown into a pool of water. The splashing waves had even startled the hidden mastermind. To be able to break through to the Heaven Dipper realm and Mountain Lord realm, almost all of them were Heaven's favored children. No matter if it was talent or temperament, they were not weaker than others. The moment the flame bear appeared, they realized that the opportunity that they had been waiting for so many years had finally appeared in front of them. Black snake, that thing just now, what exactly was it? Yu Xinghai pursed his lips, his eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. Using flames to envelop the bodies of living beings and burning their flesh to provide energy, this method reminded him of a dark past. But the last method that had mysteriously disappeared, the other party seemed like something without a physical body. According to his impression, even if the elements of heaven and earth cultivated intelligence, they were mostly kind and pure existences. They would definitely not wantonly harm living beings and would not create such an evil array. How would I know? Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with a trace of mockery as he sneered, if you guys came earlier, wouldn't you be able to catch that thing? Now you are asking me, what would a mere wisdom realm monster know? After saying that, Yu Xinghai pursed his lips and did not dare to reply. After all, they were in the wrong in this matter. They had clearly agreed before that once the mastermind appeared, they would immediately support the black snake. Both sides would advance and retreat together to quickly get rid of the fellow that trapped them and then find a way out of this Sumeru world. However, the mastermind had indeed appeared, but the one facing the mastermind was only the black snake. All of them had already rushed to the vicinity, but no one stood out to support the black snake. They were all thinking of using the black snake to probe the other party's depth. In the end, not only did the mastermind not fight the black snake to the point where both sides were injured, he even wanted to cooperate with the black snake. If they did not immediately rush out when the situation was not right, they would have waited for the mastermind to take out better conditions. This black snake might not be able to stay true to its heart and still stand on their side. I am tired, I will go and rest first. Lin Yuan glanced at Yu Xinghai, the mockery in his eyes did not disappear. He did not even have the intention to continue talking to Yu Xinghai. Meanwhile, the eye in the sky slowly closed and then disappeared into the sky. It was originally just a remnant soul that was born from the fire Chiline's corpse out of unwillingness. Its only goal was to revive the fire Chiline. Killing these demonic beasts and humans did not have any benefits to it, so it hurriedly escaped from that place. However, this did not mean that it was afraid of these fellows that were being raised in captivity. What an interesting fellow. I didn't expect such a monstrous existence to appear in the Hengduan Mountains. Interesting. The gaze of the fire Kirine's remnant soul lingered on Lin Yuan for a full 5 minutes before it slowly closed its eyes. Its eyes, which had been burning like flames, disappeared like the flames had been extinguished, leaving behind beautiful sparks that scattered with the wind. 2 days later, Lin Yuan had already been in the Sumeru world for 5 days. Due to the pressure brought by the fire Kirine's remnant soul, Lin Yuan did not dare to push it too far and continue to slaughter those monsters. He acted as if nothing had happened and found a place to sleep for 2 days. Although his strength was imminent, Lin Yuan was more worried that the fire Kirine's remnant soul would attack him because he had gone too far in snatching food. Previously, when he fell out with Zhu Xinghai and the others, it was only one of Lin Yuan's schemes. After all, the appearance of the mastermind behind the scenes had indirectly confirmed that Lin Yuan's previous words were indeed true. In addition, they did not do anything, which caused Lin Yuan's mental state to explode. Therefore, the next time Lin Yuan fought with the fire Kirine's remnant soul, these experts would definitely help him deal with the fire Kirine's remnant soul. However, the fire Kirine's remnant soul was not a fool. Previously, when Lin Yuan probed it, although he felt that it still had some strength left, its true strength was only at the Mountain Lord realm. Facing so many enemies at the same time, the Fire Kirin's remnant soul would definitely not have the slightest hesitation. It might even directly reveal the secrets of the Land of Light. When that time came, 80% of the people that Lin Yuan invited to help him would retreat. The remaining 20% would be used to deal with Lin Yuan. After all, if they stayed here, they would still have more than 10 years of lifespan. Perhaps they would find a more suitable way to break out of this situation. However, if they joined forces with Lin Yuan to overturn its rule, regardless of whether they succeeded or not, they would not have a good ending. Brother Black Snake, look at what this big brother has brought for you. A humanoid creature with crimson skin slowly walked to the outside of Lin Yuan's temporary lair. He was close to 3 meters tall, but he could still kill most of the humans in seconds. His strong and muscular body was also very sturdy. No one doubted his combat strength. His name was Kunta, an old orc. Among the entire subhuman race, the orcs were not welcomed by humans. After all, although the orcs were not as intelligent as humans, they were not inferior to humans in learning. Moreover, except for their skin color and height, the internal structure of the orcs was almost exactly the same as humans. Therefore, if the techniques that humans could practice were handed over to the orcs could also practice them. Coupled with their physique that was not inferior to the monster beasts, the combat power that the orcs could display would far surpass that of most humans. Moreover, orcs had a large amount of demonic beast blood in their bodies. This meant that orcs could give birth several times a year, and every time they gave birth, they would give birth to 7 to 9 offspring. Although it was considered good if one of these offspring could complete the spiritual awakening and have an IQ comparable to that of a teenager, with the huge population of the orc race, there were also many powerful orcs. If it were not for the fact that orcs looked too ugly, it would not be a problem to call them a race that was blessed by the heavens. Compared to Sean, who was a subhuman with a high racial talent and handsome appearance but a very low fertility rate, orcs were a more terrifying threat to humans than demonic beasts. After all, a powerful demonic beast might take decades or even centuries to be born. However, for orcs, there were countless outstanding orcs and countless inferior orc cannon fodder that were used to charge and break through enemy lines every year. This was especially true for the 3 empires in the south. Nearly 70% of the country's military forces were allocated to exterminating orc tribes in various parts of the country. If the era of the 7 empires ended, then 90% of the people who would destroy this era that was controlled by humans would be orcs. Chapter 218. Kunta. The corner of Lin Yuan's eyes twitched slightly. Kunta was a veteran native who had lived in the Land of Light for more than 7 years. Although he was only at intelligence level 4, with the strong fertility of the beast men, his tribe could be considered one of the strongest forces in the Land of Light. Even the doomed Star Sea would have to be courteous when meeting Kunta. Moreover, due to the extremely high fertility problem, the remnant soul of the Fire Kirin also took special care of the Beastmen tribe. If a lone Yarrow beast would have close to 70% of its life energy extracted, the members of the tribe would only have 30% of their life energy extracted at most. If this trend continued, there might not be any Yarrow beasts or humans in the Land of Light in another 100 years or so. By then, these beast men would be like leeks planted by the Fire Kirin. One batch would be cut, and another batch would be produced. If other Yarrow beasts or humans saw such a passionate Kunta, their first reaction would be to feel flattered. After all, Kunta could gather thousands of beastmen warriors with just a whistle. Moreover, because of the good ecological environment, these beastmen warriors did not give up like other races. They did not become crazy and violent in despair. The entire beastmen tribe was no different from the tribes in the outside world. They were very enthusiastic about their new life every day. They were also one of the few tribes in the Land of Light that could fight in groups. However, when Lin Yuan saw Kunta, he only felt a headache. He came to this place 2 days ago and planned to rest for a while. He happened to meet Kunta, who was hunting. He was besieged by 3 winged wolves and almost died. If Lin Yuan did not intervene in time, Kunta would have been reduced to food in the stomach of the winged wolves. Since then, Kunta liked to visit Lin Yuan when he had nothing to do. At first, he just wanted to chat and communicate, but now, Kunta became more and more enthusiastic. He even gave some food and water from the tribe to Lin Yuan outside the nest every day. This sudden show of goodwill caught Lin Yuan off guard. As the old saying goes, there must be a demon when things are abnormal. The reason why Kunta was able to develop the Beastmen tribe to such a scale was naturally not a simple-minded person. If he just wanted to repay the kindness of saving his life, he had already sent more than enough demonic beast meat. There was no need to come to Lin Yuan's temporary lair every day with gifts to disturb him. He, Kunta let out a hollow laugh and slowly said, "Last time when I came to see you, brother, you said that the wine brewed by our tribe was pretty good. I happened to be going out to do something, so I thought I'd give you some on the way." Lin Yuan's eyelids twitched again. He looked a little embarrassed and said, "Brother Kunta, I've said it before. I saved you because it was convenient. You've sent me too many things in the past 2 days. I can't finish them all. Don't waste any more money." As soon as Lin Yuan's voice fell, Kunta's face suddenly showed a touch of embarrassment. After all, he had been too clingy during this period of time. Even though Black Snake had pointed it out several times, he still tried to fool him. "Brother Kunta, do you have something you need my help with?" Seeing the embarrassed look on Kunta's face, Lin Yuan hurriedly asked while the iron was hot. After all, he was only eyeing the 3-winged wolves, so he saved Kunta's life by chance. However, if he continued to receive gifts like this, Lin Yuan also knew that he owed a lot. Later, if Kunta asked him to do something very difficult, Lin Yuan would not be able to do it, but he would also not be able to do it. "Haha, brother Black Snake, you saw through me. Then I won't pretend anymore." Kunta scratched his head awkwardly and said cheerfully, "Actually, there's one thing. My youngest son has had his coming-of-age ceremony, but he hasn't made any progress in cultivation. I hope you can do me a favor and see if he can become your disciple." Lin Yuan was slightly startled, and a touch of embarrassment flashed in his multicolored eyes. He couldn't learn human cultivation methods, so there was definitely something wrong with the child Kunta mentioned. If he agreed to this matter and couldn't do anything about it, it would be equivalent to owing the Orc tribe a huge favor. Pa. Kunta patted his chest and said loudly, "Brother, I know what you're hesitating about. This is definitely not enough for you to promise me something like this, so if you can promise me, I can help you solve any trouble you encounter in the Land of Light in the future. In the eyes of other beasts, our Orc tribe really has some face." For Lin Yuan, Kunta's offer was simply too good to refuse. After all, Lin Yuan was a famous executioner in the Land of Light. Although he had been keeping a low profile for the past 2 days, he had already noted down the number of beasts in the periphery of the Land of Light. There might be some powerful beasts coming to solve his problem for the sake of the beasts. At that time, if he had the support of the Orc tribe, the other party wouldn't dare to act rashly, right? "How about this? I don't have the final say now. Can I take a look at the child first?" Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with a faint light, and he lowered his voice and said, "Now, even if I boast to the sky with you, old brother, I can't do anything. I can't do anything. Why don't you let me take a look first? If I can teach your child cultivation, I naturally have nothing to say. But if I can't do it, brother Kunta, you'd better not continue to waste your time and resources with me. Since brother Black Snake has already put it this way, wouldn't I be too insensible if I were to refuse?" Kunta licked his lips and a happy smile appeared on his face. Black Snake was the most special existence in the Land of Light. If a way to leave could be found, Black Snake would definitely be one of the guides. At that time, even if Black Snake didn't care about the Orc tribe's care for him during this period of time, Kunta would be satisfied with the opportunity to send his child out of this damn place. This Black Snake couldn't possibly ignore his own student before leaving, right? He, brother Black Snake, you definitely won't be disappointed. After all, although my son can't cultivate, he has been smart and sensible since he was a child. He definitely won't cause you any trouble. In addition, my child's physique seems to be a little different from yours." Kunta was like a chatterbox. Seeing that Lin Yuan was relieved, he immediately began to promote his child. Chapter 219. 4 hours later. In the Orc tribe's camp. Lin Yuan and Kunta walked side by side. Many pairs of curious eyes immediately fell on the black serpent. Kunta, who had built the orc tribe from scratch to its current scale, did not have a high cultivation base, but his reputation in the tribe was extremely high. According to the orc's way of addressing him, Kunta was a hero who would be buried in the storm altar. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, was just an ordinary demon beast. Even standing next to Kunta was enough to attract attention, not to mention that Kunta maintained the same speed as Lin Yuan. Kunta's pace was half a body's pace behind Lin Yuan, which served to highlight Kunta's position in Lin Yuan's heart. "Chatsai, father is back," Kunta mumbled without even opening the tent when they approached an orc skin tent in the center of the tribe. A moment later, a young orc whose facial features were slightly similar to Kunta's, but his skin had a jade-like luster. He rushed into Kunta's embrace excitedly and expressed his longing for his father in the orc language. Compared to Kunta and Chatsai, who were very close to each other, Lin Yuan was extremely shocked at this moment. On the way here, Kunta had mentioned to him more than once that Chatsai's physique was special. It seemed to be the same as Lin Yuan's and would not be affected by the external devouring force. If not for the fact that he could not cultivate, Chatsai might have already embarked on the path to find the exit. However, at this moment, Chatsai obviously did not have the ability to explore the area shrouded in black fog alone. Lin Yuan originally thought that Kunta was just flattering his son. However, the moment he saw this young orc, Lin Yuan suddenly understood that he was not affected by the formation because the system's understanding of the devouring force far surpassed the remnant soul of the fire Kirin. However, an existence like Chatsai could only withstand the devouring force by relying on his special physique. Innate leakless body. According to the division of martial arts, it could be roughly divided into 3 major realms: the bright realm, the dark realm, and the transformative realm. If a martial artist could step into the transformative realm, it was equivalent to entering the realm of earth immortals. He could even breathe to a certain extent through the pores on the surface of his body. At the same time, he could also lock all the pores on his body to prevent any aura from entering his body. This realm was usually called the leakless realm. In the face of an opponent of this level, almost all assassination methods such as poisoning would fail. Lin Yuan had never expected that he had not stepped into the leakless realm even though he had been practicing martial arts for a long time, especially after mastering the cultivation method of the golden body technique, which could be called a miraculous skill. However, he never expected that one day, he would meet an orc who was born with the leakless body technique. It was no wonder that Chatsai was still unable to practice martial arts even though his aptitude was not low. After all, this kind of innate leakless body was a huge drawback. If one did not master the transformative realm that could be freely opened or closed, even spiritual energy might be directly excluded during cultivation. In this way, cultivation would naturally be ineffective. However, if one did not cultivate, one's strength would not improve at all, and it would be impossible to enter the leakless realm. It was like entering an endless cycle. This was not a big problem, but it was definitely not a small one either. Lin Yuan was sure that he was the only one who could solve this problem in the entire land of Light Source. "Brother, what do you think?" Kunta comforted his son, patted Chatsai's shoulder gently, and asked while rubbing his hands. "Yes." Lin Yuan nodded slightly, and there was a look of interest on his face. Being born with the leakless body was simply a disaster for cultivators, but in terms of martial arts, it was not inferior to the existence of the sword body or the Taoist body in the novels of his previous life. It was much easier to go downhill than uphill. Chatsai was less than 20 years old this year, but he had already touched the threshold of the transformative realm. If he practiced hard, it would only take him half a year to break through the 2 realms of obvious strength and covert strength. As for whether he could really become a first-class existence like the Earth Immortals, it would depend on his own luck. If it really doesn't work... Wait. Brother, what did you say? Kunta seemed to have not heard Lin Yuan's words. His eyes were wide open, and he changed the topic and asked in a loud voice. Originally, he was just trying to contact Black Snake, but he did not expect Black Snake to be so confident and dare to say that he could help his son embark on the road of cultivation. This alone was enough to make Kunta ecstatic. "I can teach him how to cultivate, but I'll say this first. I'll take him in as my disciple and teach him my skills, but without my permission, if he dares to spread what I taught him, I'll personally cripple him." Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with a cold light, and he said this with a gloomy face. Lin Yuan did not have many choices about martial arts. The only thing he could give to Chatsai was the cultivation method of the golden body skill. Without the help of the system, Chatsai's cultivation speed of the golden body skill would not be very fast, but it was at least 100 times faster than Lin Yuan's cultivation speed without attribute point. However, although the golden body skill was something that Lin Yuan had discovered early, Lin Yuan had experienced so many battles where he could have died if he was not careful. Lin Yuan was still standing here unscathed today because of the golden body skill. Lin Yuan was willing to teach such a wonderful skill to Chatsai, so it was his good fortune. If Chatsai was not sensible enough, or if Kunta had some ideas that he should not have, Lin Yuan did not mind killing Kundu and his son personally. He would let those who were thinking about him know what it was like to betray him. Next, I will teach you a part of the chant. You can practice it while eating the flesh of demonic beasts. When you are able to sense qi, come find me. At that time, I will teach you the next part of the chant. Lin Yuan grinned and showed a kind smile. This operation was somewhat different from what he had expected, but it was also a good harvest for Lin Yuan to be able to unearth a good seedling. Yes, master. I will work hard. Chatsai stuttered as he replied in the common language. He did not seem to be good at communicating with strange creatures, so when he said those words, there was a hint of shyness on his face. Furthermore, it was Kunta who taught him to say those words. Chatsai did not understand the meaning of those two sentences at all. Today's third watch is delivered tilde. Chapter 220. Time passed bit by bit. Lin Yuan could feel the passage of time even though he was surrounded by darkness. According to the system's calculations, today was the 15th day since he entered the Sumeru world. Lin Yuan was sitting on a huge rock with his body curled up. His beautiful eyes were looking at Chatsai, who was sweating profusely. His eyes revealed a look of satisfaction. In 11 days, Chatsai was able to sense qi according to the golden body technique that Lin Yuan had taught him. Although martial arts were similar to the cultivation of qi by humans, what was condensed was pure internal energy. It was similar to the so-called qi, but it was not the same. At least, the innate leakless body would not reject the flow of internal energy into the body. Naturally, there was no threshold for cultivation. Although Kunta was envious of such a magical cultivation method, he was after all an ambitious person. He knew what he could get his hands on and what he should keep a respectful distance from. The mnemonic chant that Lin Yuan taught to Chatsai was not a complete mnemonic chant. It was only the first step of condensing qi. If he forced himself to practice without follow-up guidance, it would be a good result for him to go berserk and become a fool. Lin Yuan also very sneakily took Chatsai out of the Beastman tribe for one-on-one tutoring. While helping Chatsai to make rapid progress, he also completely cut off the idea of those guys in the Beastman tribe to secretly learn. Master, Chatsai, how much longer do I have to persevere? Chatsai, who was squatting in a horse stance, asked with a trembling voice as beads of sweat oozed out of his forehead. It seemed that due to the different body structure, more sophisticated and complex humanoid creatures cultivating the golden body technique, they had to assume a specific posture to mobilize the qi in their body to slowly refine their body. Every inch of their body required more than 10 times the amount of energy that Lin Yuan needed to refine 1 inch of their body. However, Chatsai's progress was very fast, especially during the one-on-one tutoring by Lin Yuan. If Chatsai had any questions about cultivation, he could immediately ask Lin Yuan. Therefore, Chatsai had reached a critical stage. His body had been refined to the peak of the first level of the golden body technique. If he advanced further, the color of his skin would turn into the dark gold color that Lin Yuan had. Hold on, don't relax. Lin Yuan's voice exploded in Chatsai's ears. Chatsai was slightly taken aback. However, he managed to stabilize his body and continued to control the energy in his body to temper his body. Chatsai's originally beautiful jade-colored skin slowly turned into a healthy bronze color under the activation of the golden body tactic. Moreover, This color was still slowly changing. Seeing this scene, Lin Yuan's choice of heart also relaxed a little. According to the records in the Golden Body Secret Art, one could be considered to have successfully cultivated to this stage. Next, one would need to use time to stabilize one's body. If one followed Chatsai's initial practice of swallowing large amounts of demonic beast's flesh and blood to transform into energy to temper one's body, one could already stop doing so. Although there would still be gains, the disadvantages would still outweigh the advantages. If one absorbed too much energy and was unable to transform it immediately, one's body would undoubtedly explode. Hiss. Whoosh. As Chatsai took a deep breath, he also noticed the changes in his body. His face couldn't help but reveal a look of pleasant surprise. The beast men were an extremely boorish and barbaric race. Compared to Tianya's beautiful jade-colored skin, this bronze skin was more in line with the beastman's aesthetic. Therefore, after entering the golden body tactic, Chatsai instantly evolved from a sissy to a macho existence. In the tribe he came from, he could be considered a first-class handsome man. Ha! Chatsai suddenly let out a low roar. The internal strength in his body instantly gathered and condensed into a white xiaoxing sword qi in his mouth. As Chatsai's roar fell, the small white sword had already shot out and accurately hit a grey rock. In an instant, the rock exploded into pieces. "All right, you brat. Even showing off your skills in front of your master?" Lin Yuan rolled his eyes at Chatsai and said in a bad mood. To be able to gather his inner energy and shoot it out to injure people from a distance meant that Chatsai had already passed the obvious strength stage of fighting with his fists and strength. He had reached the hidden strength stage that was rumored in his previous life to be able to injure people with flying flowers and leave. Hee hee. Chatsai rubbed his head and revealed a simple and honest smile on his face again. It wasn't easy for him to reach this stage. Naturally, he had the intention to show off his skills to Lin Yuan. However, he didn't expect that Lin Yuan didn't even take a second look at his flying sword qi. He even directly pointed out his little trick. Instantly, the young beastman revealed a shy expression again. Nothing had changed at all, just like 11 days ago. "All right, you've been out for so long. It's time for you to go home and take a look. I've completely imparted the first stage of the technique to you. You should understand the principle of biting off more than you can chew. When you've tempered your physical body into a dark gold color, then come and ask me for the next stage of the technique. Also, remember this. I don't expect you to really break through the limits of what I've taught you today. However, you must always remember that without my permission, you're not allowed to impart what I've taught you to anyone else. Otherwise, I'll personally cripple your cultivation and destroy everything that you've worked so hard to obtain." Lin Yuan's voice was very cold. Especially when he spoke, his eyes flashed with a cold light. He had high hopes for Chatsai, so he didn't want Chatsai to violate his taboo. Even if Chatsai imparted the golden body technique to other members of the Beastman tribe, Lin Yuan could be sure that there was only one innate leakless body. In the end, only he and Chatsai could survive the invasion of the Black Fog. However, this kind of thing could happen again. If Chatsai couldn't hold back in the end, Lin Yuan could only personally destroy this disciple that he had high hopes for. Although others might not be able to cultivate the golden body technique, they would definitely be clear about the weaknesses of the golden body technique. If one day he encountered such an existence, Lin Yuan wouldn't even have a place to cry. "Yes, I understand, Master." Chatsai's body trembled as he subconsciously shouted in response. However, Lin Yuan's voice stopped abruptly. When Chatsai turned his head back, Lin Yuan, who was originally coiled up on the huge rock, had disappeared without a trace. It was as if he had never appeared at all. Everything was just Chatsai's own imagination. Chatsai shook his head gently and threw the distracting thoughts to the back of his mind. He hummed a brisk tune and strode towards the Beastman tribe. A silly smile appeared on his face from time to time. Chapter 221. The next day, early in the morning, Lin Yuan was awakened from his light sleep with a start. It was still the same mysterious feeling, as if some dangerous existence was staring at him. Snakes did not have sweat glands, Otherwise Lin Yuan would have been soaked in cold sweat by now. Even so, Lin Yuan's breathing was still very rapid, and the fear in his heterochromatic eyes was getting more and more intense. As he looked at the sky, he realized that the sky had turned a crimson red. Countless clouds of flames were swirling in the sky, and a scorching aura was blowing in his face. The entire Sumeru world was filled with an aura of destruction, as if the world was about to be destroyed. Lin Yuan stared at the sky. Above the sky, something was also staring at him. It was a pair of eyes condensed from flames, cold and without a trace of emotion, like a god sitting in the ninth heaven overlooking the mortal world. However, Lin Yuan was certain that the pair of indifferent eyes had always been on him. System, this guy, what is he trying to do? The corners of Lin Yuan's eyes twitched slightly, and he used his mind to awaken the system. The remnant soul of the fire Kirin has sensed the threat of the host, and is worried that the host will kill too quickly, causing all the creatures here to be absorbed by the host. Therefore, it has decided to take out all the life energy it has accumulated over the years as a last resort, wanting to break through the boundary between life and death. Once it succeeds, it will be able to return to the world in its complete form. According to the system's calculations, the success rate of the remnant soul of the fire Kirin is currently 27%. A look of horror flashed across Lin Yuan's face. The remnant soul of the fire Kirin had absorbed so much life energy, it should know how much it needed, right? Moreover, during this period of time, in order to dispel the fire Kirin's wariness, he had basically been resting or teaching Chatsai. He had not hunted any creatures in the light source at all. Saying that the remnant soul of the fire Kirin had sensed a threat from him, wasn't this forcing him to be the scapegoat? Lin Yuan was now very curious as to what exactly had stimulated the remnant soul of the fire Kirin to make such a risky decision. System, what will happen if the resurrection of the fire Kirin fails? Did he turn into ashes on the spot? Lin Yuan's eyes moved slightly for a moment, and there was a bit of gloominess in his eyes. Regardless of whether it was in the previous life or this life, one had to pay a price for doing anything. Fire Kirin's actions were no different from toying with the eccentric existence of death. If Fire Kirin's remnant soul failed to resurrect successfully, it would definitely pay an extremely painful price. It would be lucky if it would be reduced to ashes on the spot and never fall into the cycle of reincarnation. If death is compared to a god, then it must be the most eccentric god. As long as you have the ability to deceive death, it will generously grant you new life. But if you fail to deceive it, it will show you what true cruelty is. The fire Kirin's actions are no different from deceiving death. If its resurrection fails, its soul will be dragged into a lonely plane to suffer eternal torture. Its physical body may be reduced to ashes, or it may be transformed by the power of death into a monster that only knows how to kill to please death. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan glanced at him from the corner of his eye. In front of him, a demonic beast at the 7th level of the wisdom realm was suddenly turned into a dried corpse by a strange force. As time passed, more and more demonic beasts were turned into dried corpses. In the system's evaluation, the success rate of Fire Kirin's resurrection was also continuously increasing. Although the increase was not huge, and it finally stopped at 40%, if Lin Yuan knew that he had a 40% chance of being resurrected after death, he would also choose to take a gamble. Black Snake. A figure flashed in front of him, and a wretched Zhu Xinghai appeared in front of Lin Yuan. This man who used to be full of vigor was now hunched over, and the wrinkles on his face were much deeper than the last time they met. His long hair had long fallen out, and his skin that was exposed to the air was covered with age spots. Even his eyes had lost their light, and he looked like he could die at any moment. Black Snake, what is going on? Zhu Xinghai's hands trembled as he asked with a choked voice. In the past years, Zhu Xinghai felt that he had seen life and death. Although he felt that it was a pity that he had lost his lifespan, he also felt that it was enough for him to live peacefully for the remaining 10 years. However, when his lifespan was about to end, Zhu Xinghai suddenly felt that he was so afraid of death. If someone came to tell him that they could help him avoid the fate of death, he was even willing to give up everything that he could. That thing, it seems like it doesn't want to wait anymore. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes and stared at the pair of fiery eyes in the sky, and a trace of light flashed through his eyes. During the time that he was in Sumeru world, something big might have happened in the outside world, which caused this fire Kirin's remnant soul to be so flustered and irritable. It even tried to break through the boundary between life and death even though it knew that it did not have enough power. As for the words that the system said before, Lin Yuan did not take it to heart. Recently, he did not do anything to provoke the fire Kirin, so it was obvious that the system was digging a hole for him. However, Lin Yuan's eyes revealed a look of contemplation. He could not imagine what had happened in the outside world that could provoke this fire Kirin. Back when Beast Lord Kirin sent his capable subordinates to investigate the ghost domain, this fellow arrogantly captured the Mountain Lord-level demonic beasts that followed them, as if it did not put Beast Lord Kirin in its eyes at all. Could it be that Beast Lord Kirin had personally come to the ghost domain this time? Or, suddenly, Lin Yuan had a bold idea. He was merely a beast king from the outskirts of the Hungduan mountain range. In the Hungduan mountain range, he was definitely not a powerful character. Even if he mysteriously disappeared in the ghost domain, Beast Lord Kirin would not even bother to look for him, let alone come to the ghost domain to suppress the fire Kirin's remnant soul. In Lin Yuan's memories, the only existence that could threaten the fire Kirin and even care about his life and death seemed to be that lord. Could it be that because he had mysteriously disappeared in the ghost domain, that Lord had led his inferno demonic beasts to attack Sumeru world, which provoked this fire Kirin and made it decide to give up on accumulating power and directly start the resurrection ritual? Lin Yuan felt his lips dry up. He felt that the situation was faintly out of his control. If that was really the case, then there was no problem for the system to put the blame on him. Chapter 222. If Lin Yuan had to say what emotion he was feeling right now, it would definitely be regret. Extreme regret. If he had known earlier, he would not have been dormant during this period of time. If he had carried out the slaughter according to his previous killing efficiency when he entered the light source, Lin Yuan's cultivation would have probably risen to the 8th level of the wisdom state or even the 9th level of the wisdom state, even if he had not triggered the task of promoting to the Mountain Lord realm. But now that the fire Kirin had gone berserk, even a powerful existence like Zhu Xinghai had almost been turned into a dried corpse. Those existences that Lin Yuan could deal with would probably not even have a corpse left, right? Roar. An angry roar came from the sky, waking Lin Yuan from his thoughts. This roar carried many emotions. There was unwillingness, anger, and even a bit of pain. The fire Kirin's resurrection ritual was probably not going smoothly. Although the probability of its resurrection was as high as 40%, probability was not something that was worth believing in. Some people could achieve a 100% success rate even if they only had a 1% success rate, while some people would still fail even if they had a 99% success rate. Looking at the fire Kirin's appearance, Lin Yuan could guess that the fire Kirin's resurrection ritual was not going smoothly. Black Snake, what should I do? Quickly help me think of a way. I beg you, I don't want to die. I can't die yet. Under the threat of death, Zhu Xinghai, whose life force was still flowing out of his body, knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lin Yuan. All the elegance of an expert and the majesty of an emperor had been thrown to the back of his mind. In reality, Zhu Xinghai was not an existence that could calmly face death. Otherwise, when Lei Qiusheng had started the rebellion, this existence known as the number one person in the Myriad Swords dynasty would have sat in the imperial palace and waited for the outcome of the battle to be decided. But back then, Zhu Xinghai had chosen to bring his personal guards far away from the battlefield and the imperial capital. He did not dare to directly face the power of the rebel army, nor did he dare to question why Lei Qiusheng, whom he deeply trusted, wanted to rebel. This was not the first time that doubtful Xinghai had chosen to live. At this moment, when Yu Xinghai was kneeling in front of him, a look of disdain flashed across Lin Yuan's eyes. I'm sorry, but I really can't save you. Lin Yuan gently shook his head. The fire Kirin had devoured all the living beings in the light source, and the only ones who could escape this calamity were probably Lin Yuan and Chatsai. However, what happened after that was still out of Lin Yuan's control. Whether it was the resurrection of the fire Kirin or the capture of Lin Yuan, there was no possibility of Lin Yuan letting him go. However, It was obviously impossible to pin hope on the unrealistic idea of the Fire Kirin and Lin Luoran injuring each other. You can definitely save me. As long as you tell me how you resisted the devouring power of this array, I will definitely be able to survive. Yu Xinghai's eyes were red as he stared fiercely at Lin Yuan. Under the torture of death, Yu Xinghai's mentality was already on the verge of collapse. He coldly said, "Black Snake, I really don't have any more time. I will give you two choices. Tell me how to resist the devouring power, and the two of us can both live. Or, before I die of old age, I will drag you along with me." Poochie. The sound of a sharp weapon piercing through flesh suddenly rang out. Lin Yuan's black snake tail instantly pierced through Yu Xinghai's chest. Dark red blood dyed the entire snake tail red. If it was a Heaven Dipper realm expert at his peak state, even if Lin Yuan used all his strength, he might not be able to break through the opponent's defense that was comparable to a Mountain Lord realm monster. However, Yu Xinghai's mentality had already collapsed. He didn't think that Lin Yuan would suddenly attack him. Adding on the fact that his body was already on the verge of heaven's decay and could die of old age at any moment, he had already lost the defense that a Heaven Dipper realm expert should have. Pu, how dare you? Yu Xinghai lowered his head and stared blankly at the snake tail that pierced through his chest as he muttered to himself. Why did this black snake dare to kill him? He was the supreme ruler of the 10,000 Swords dynasty. If it was a few decades ago, even Beast Lord Kirin would be his best friend. Even if he lost the throne and the dynasty, the Yu clan's strength in the Shenwu dynasty was still terrifying. Before he was captured and brought to Sumeru world, Yu Xinghai was still living a life of luxury. When the monsters in the Hengduan mountain range saw Yu Xinghai, they would also have to respectfully bow to him. He never thought that his ending would be like this. Dying in the hands of a little beast king in the outer regions of the Hengduan mountain range? What a joke! If he knew that this would happen, he would have stayed in the imperial capital and led the army that was loyal to him to have a life-and-death battle with that traitor Lei Qiusheng. He was not willing to accept this. But he had no choice but to accept the reality in front of him. Although a Heaven Dipper realm cultivator's body was strong and wouldn't die on the spot after being pierced through the chest, he could still recover if he was treated in time. But in the light source, no one would waste precious spiritual items to save him. Furthermore, his body was extremely weak. Although he wasn't dead yet, he had lost the strength to retaliate. You interrupted my train of thought. Lin Yuan twisted his snake body. His heterochromatic eyes didn't have any fear as he stared at Yu Xinghai. To Lin Yuan, status was just a title. Things like Beast Lord Kirin, Emperor Zun of the previous dynasty were all like that. It wouldn't increase his strength at all. As for huge forces, that was even more of a joke. After a person died, everything would be empty. Were the Zhu clan's remnants fighting against the Shenwu dynasty to bring Yu Xinghai back to the throne? No, they were just greedy for the power they had when they were nobles. They also knew that the Shenwu dynasty wouldn't let go of those who were loyal to the previous dynasty. Thus, they were determined to fight against the Shenwu dynasty. Not to mention that Lin Yuan had killed a prisoner in the Sumeru world. Even if he killed Yu Xinghai in the Hengduan mountain range, as long as he displayed enough strength and potential, Beast Lord Kirin wouldn't blame him. Instead, he would draw a clear line with the Zhu clan's remnants. After all, Lin Yuan was a demonic beast and the Zhu clan's remnants were just a bunch of chess pieces to restrict the Shenwu dynasty. To Lin Yuan, killing Yu Xinghai didn't have any burden at all. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing Heaven Dipper Realm Level 4 Yu Xinghai. Reward, 40 attribute points. The system broadcast appeared in Lin Yuan's mind. Lin Yuan pursed his lips as a light flashed in his eyes. Since he didn't expect Lord and Fire Kirin to both be heavily injured, then his own strength would be crucial. If you feel that this book isn't enough, you can go and read my old book Peerless God of War. It has a total of 4 million words and can be eaten to your heart's content. Chapter 223. Even if he couldn't break through to the Mountain Lord realm, it didn't matter as long as he had enough attribute points. If Lin Yuan, who had activated Blood Boil, couldn't escape from the encirclement of the Inferno demon beasts with the Fire Kirin restraining the Lord, then he had nothing to say. He had already done his best. Although the wisdom demon beasts had all been turned into dried corpses by the fire Kirin, the remaining ones were all Heavenstar Realm and Mountain Lord Realm existences. Moreover, they were all extremely weak. Every one of them could give him a large amount of attribute points. As long as he could kill these guys, he might be able to reach the peak of the wisdom demon beast. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yuan's snake body slowly twisted as he walked towards his first prey according to the image formed by his sense of smell. Ding! The fire Kirin has been successfully revived. Host is advised to escape immediately. Ding! The fire Kirin's bloodline has been detected. Special mission, Bloodline Advancement. Name, Bloodline Advancement. Description: the host was able to walk step by step until today, partly because of his own hard work and partly because of the system's gift. However, the host should be aware that there is no divine beast bloodline in his body. Although the host can slowly condense it through cultivation and the system's rewards, it will be a very long path. In view of the host's current enemies, there is an existence with the bloodline of an ancient remnant beast. Therefore, the system has specially issued this reward. As long as the host can kill the fire Chileen, the host will obtain a chance to make a transaction with the system. The ancient divine beast bloodline in the fire Kirin's body will be used to exchange for the host's complete water WRM bloodline. Mission reward: 1 chance to make a bloodline transaction. Failure punishment: none. Lin Yuan, looking at the system notification that suddenly popped up, Lin Yuan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Kill a fire Kirin of the desolate demon realm? The system's mission seemed to be forcing him into a dead end. Although there was no penalty for failure, Lin Yuan had a vague premonition that whether or not he could become a mountain lord would depend on when he could cancel the evolution state in his status bar and transform from a heavenly black python into a water WM. Currently, there were countless powerful enemies surrounding him. If he didn't have enough strength, Lin Yuan would sooner or later be devoured clean. However, wasn't this cheating thing a little too much? Although Lin Yuan didn't know what level the fire Kirin was, in the myths of his previous life, Kirin was on the same level as the Azure Dragon. If there really was a corresponding bloodline level, then the Kirin bloodline should be on the same level as the true dragon bloodline, right? Why was there only one flood dragon bloodline in the system? Lin Yuan was speechless for a moment because he didn't know if the fire Kirin bloodline was too inferior or if the system was too profiteering. The system recommends that the host treasure this opportunity. After all, there aren't many opportunities to exchange bloodlines. If the system didn't happen to have stock, even if the host obtained the fire Kirin bloodline, it would be of no use to you. When the system notification sounded again, Lin Yuan made up his mind. The cultivation aptitude of his physical body was pitifully poor. Chart-size cultivation speed was 100 times faster than his. Even the 2 mountain-shaking apes, Nagin and Mendu, had better aptitudes than him. If Batu's foundation hadn't been damaged, it might have been stronger than him. If it wasn't for the fact that he could obtain attribute points from killing monsters, Lin Yuan really couldn't compare to these native monsters. If he was allowed to slowly condense the water WM bloodline, Lin Yuan estimated that he might not be able to condense the bloodline even if he waited until the green leaf water lotus bloomed. Phew, it seems like I can't leave immediately. I have to wait until the battle between Lord and the fire Kirin ends, or I can directly join Lord's camp and become a harvester in exchange for the chance to kill the fire Kirin. Lin Yuan secretly thought about the feasibility of this matter. He still wasn't sure how useful the purgatory heart would be to Lord. Although the trouble he had caused before wasn't small, for an existence of the desolate demon realm like Lord, it was nothing more than letting others give him face. If he really had to engage in a life-and-death battle with an existence of the desolate demon realm for Lin Yuan, it was hard to say whether Lord would back down or not. Forget it. When the bridge reaches the boat will cross. Since things have already reached this point, I'll just take the risk. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes emitted a ray of light. Lin Yuan wasn't a gambler. Whether it was the blood feud of his previous life or the fantastical experiences of this life, Lin Yuan didn't want to casually give up his life. He wanted to reach a higher position and see more wonders. It would be best if he could return to his previous life and take revenge. But this didn't mean that Lin Yuan didn't have the courage. If he had to bet his life on a chance to turn things around, Lin Yuan wouldn't hesitate. Right now, this opportunity was in front of him. At the same time, Hengduan Mountain Range, Ghost's Domain. Lord, who had transformed into a dragon, wandered in this mountain range where there were no living creatures. He sent out all the monsters under his command to search for traces of the black snake. As the mastermind behind the scenes, although Sir wasn't a narcissistic person who boasted of being flawless, he still gave sufficient care to the special existence of the black snake. He even deliberately left a tracking mark on the black snake, worried that the black snake would secretly slip away. In fact, just as he expected, the black snake did have the intention to sneak away. He delegated his authority to the monsters under his command and secretly left Stoneclaw Forest. To Lord, this was undoubtedly an excellent opportunity. In this ghost's domain where no living creatures dared to live, it was impossible for the beast Lord Kirin's spy to exist. If he secretly captured the black snake here, he could do it without anyone noticing. As long as he had the black snake in his hands, why would he be afraid that the black snake wouldn't cooperate? But after tracking the black snake all the way to the ghost's domain, Lord almost went crazy. The black snake's tracking mark was indeed in the ghost's domain, but in this half a month, Lord had led his monsters to plow through the entire ghost's domain, but they still couldn't find that treacherous black snake. Lord, is that black snake? A Wisdom Realm level 7 green python wriggled its body and walked to Lord's side. Its eyes were filled with doubt. Although it believed that Lord was the strongest, a small trick like the tracking mark wasn't hard to break. After wasting half a month without any results, it even suspected that the black snake had tricked them. Impossible. That black snake must be here. Continue to search for it. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you have to find that black snake. Lord's face darkened, and his eyes were gloomy as he growled. Although it had doubts in its heart, it was more confident in its methods. That black snake must still be in the ghost's domain. I'll send 160 monthly votes to you. Please continue to ask for monthly votes. Chapter 224. At the new location of Zhanshan City. Commander Li, Staff Officer Luo, something bad has happened. A lieutenant dressed in black armor strode into the military tent with a grave expression on his face. Commander Li and Luo Shu looked at each other and saw a trace of doubt in each other's eyes. The pace of the demonic beast's attack was much slower than they had imagined. Originally, they only wanted to take away the majority of the materials stored in the new location of Zhanshan City. However, after they had emptied the new location of Zhanshan City, there were no signs of the demonic beast horde as they had imagined. This made them wonder if the Hengduan Mountain Range's previous actions were just to scare them. Don't be anxious, speak slowly. Chiline, go pour a cup of water for Lieutenant Fang. A trace of seriousness flashed across Commander Li's eyes as he turned his head and gave an order to his adjutant. The Azure River Empire has deployed an army of 3.6 million soldiers, and their vanguard is heading straight for our Shunwu dynasty. At the same time, news has also come from the south, saying that the demonic beasts of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas have also made a move. Hundreds of battleships have mysteriously disappeared, and more than a dozen fishing villages have also disappeared overnight. Furthermore, the Shuangjian dynasty's cavalry is also patrolling the borders of our Shunwu dynasty. The imperial capital has received countless pleading letters, and the imperial court is so busy that no one cares about our situation here. If that is all, it would be fine. However, the surrounding 6 cities have also sent us letters, saying that there are a large number of demonic beasts living outside their cities, so they are unable to support us. They have even requested us to temporarily abandon the Zhanshan city that has yet to be built to support them. Lieutenant Fang said a few shocking news in a row, then took the cup of tea from Chiline's hand and drank it in one gulp. He nodded and said, "Thank you, Adjutant Zhong." Commander Li's body swayed slightly. Luo Shu's eyes widened. Lei Fan, who was sitting on the main seat, slammed the table and stood up. Just a few short pieces of news that entered their ears brought about a shock that made their hearts palpitate. The heavens seemed to be changing. The Qingjiang dynasty and the Shuangjian dynasty were pointing their weapons at the Shunwu dynasty. The demonic beasts of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas and the Hungduan mountain range had changed their hibernating posture and were ready to make a move. It seemed that an invisible force was controlling these forces, each of which was comparable to the Shunwu dynasty, to unite and blow the horn to charge at the Shunwu dynasty. Urgent news from the imperial capital. A messenger strode into the meeting room and said in a deep voice, "Lord Lei Fan, the Emperor has sent a letter asking you not to leave your post without permission. Either you rebuild Mountain Blocking City under the invasion of the demon beast tide, or all of you die here." If the previous few pieces of news had only made them feel shocked and fearful, then this order from the imperial city was the last straw that broke the camel's back. The Shunwu dynasty had abandoned them, no, the entire 7 border cities. This order ordered them not to retreat even half a step. Even if all of them had to die here, they had to drag the demon beasts out of the Hungduan mountain range to death here. At least before the Shunwu dynasty could transfer extra troops over, whether they could survive or not would completely depend on their own strength. Compared to the 7 border cities that could be rebuilt at any time, the Shunwu dynasty was obviously more concerned about the joint invasion of the Qingjiang dynasty and the Shuangjian dynasty. As for the news from the southern coastal area, although it was strange that it happened at this time, the imperial capital probably did not care about the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. After all, the land environment was not suitable for the demonic beasts to live in. Incidents of fishing villages and ships being dragged to the bottom of the sea by the demonic beasts happened almost every year. The Shunwu dynasty had long gotten used to it. What should we do? Commander Li felt a headache coming on, and a faint bitterness appeared on his face. This was the first time he had left Shunlin Jun to carry out a mission. He did not expect to be forced into a desperate situation. Run. Lei Fan did not even think about it. He straightened his body and said expressionlessly, "The 7 border cities have been abandoned by the Shunwu dynasty. If we continue to fight alone, we will only end up being eaten by the demonic beasts. If we want to continue to live, the only way is to give up the other 6 cities and gather in Shunning City to fight the demonic beasts in the Hungduan mountain range. Maybe we will still have a chance to survive." The 7 border cities were destroyed one by one. It was already a matter of time. At this time, it would be the stupidest thing to do if they still stayed on their own land. Only when the people and civilians of the 7 cities gathered in Shunning City would they have the strength to fight. Furthermore, Shunning City was also a border city. As long as Shunning City was not breached, the demonic beasts would not escape to the Shunwu dynasty. They would have completed their mission. Even if they were not rewarded after the war, they would not be punished. After the Shunwu dynasty defeated the Qingjiang dynasty and the Shuangjian dynasty, they would naturally send reinforcements to Shunning City and not other places. How are we going to leave? Captain Li licked his lips and said in a deep voice, "Zhanshan City has just been built. The materials transferred from various places are very valuable. If we bring these things with us, we will definitely not be able to outrun the demonic beasts. But if we don't bring them, the dynasty might not transfer a second batch of resources. When the time comes to build Zhanshan City, do you think we can think of a way to build it ourselves?" There were many aristocratic families in the Shunwu dynasty, and most of them had the strength to rule over a region. However, if they were to take out a sum of resources to build a city, they would probably empty these so-called aristocratic families in an instant. Only the dynasty had the ability to transfer idle resources from various places. If they did not have this batch of resources, how could they build Zhanshan City? Would they go to the surrounding areas to cut down trees and quarry stones, and then build a city that would collapse with a slight push from the demonic beasts? Luo Shu scratched his head and pulled out a bunch of his hair. A trace of madness flashed in his eyes as he growled, "At this time, tell me directly. Do you want money or your life? I know the importance of resources, but if you die, even if Zhanshan City can be built, it will have nothing to do with you. I'm just stating facts." Captain Li snorted coldly and turned his head to the side. "Money or my life? If Zhanshan City could not withstand the demonic beasts, even if they could survive this time, when the demonic beast horde comes again in the future, would he still expect his subordinates to rush up and fight the demonic beasts on the plains? All right. Stop arguing. Captain Li, Luo Shu, you guys organize a retreat and head directly to Shunning City. Lei Yifan rubbed his forehead with a headache and said in a deep voice, as for this batch of resources, I will think of a way to deal with it. I can't guarantee that I can protect all of it, but protecting 70% of it should not be a problem. The most important thing now is to organize a retreat. Don't quarrel here, it will only be a waste of time. 180 monthly tickets will be sent to you, Tilda. Chapter 225. Rumble. Rumble. The clear sky turned gloomy in an instant. Dark clouds covered the sky, refusing to let out even a trace of sunlight. Sir's eyes narrowed slightly, and a hint of fear flashed through his eyes. When he followed the mark on the black snake's body to this place, he could feel a powerful aura. However, the aura from before was faintly discernible, so he did not take it to heart. However, the scene in front of him made him suck in a breath of cold air. Before it was even born, it had already caused a vision of heaven and earth. What kind of existence did this aura belong to? Scram. In the void, a cold voice sounded, without the slightest emotion, like a high and mighty king. The fire Kirin had just been resurrected not long ago, and a large amount of its life force had been exhausted. There were still countless scattered life forces flowing in the formation, so it did not want to fight with this strange existence from the desolate demon realm. It just wanted to drive these annoying guys away, and then hide in the Sumeru world to recuperate for a while. As for the purpose of these monsters and this existence from the desolate demon realm coming to the ghost's domain, although the fire Kirin did not ask, when it saw that the other party had been looking for something here, it guessed that they were most likely here for the black serpent, which seemed to be hiding countless secrets. Not to mention the bloodline power in the black serpent's body that was transforming, which made it feel oppressed. Just the black serpent's ability to ignore the great devouring formation and the ability to instantly turn its prey into its own energy were all things that an existence at the level of the fire Kirin coveted. Therefore, the fire Kirin had never thought of handing over the black serpent. Compared to offending this existence from the desolate demon realm, the fire Kirin hoped that it could monopolize the benefits from the black serpent. Ha! A monster that has just entered the desolate demon realm dares to threaten me? Sir's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he lowered his voice and said, if I am unhappy, I can tear a guy like you into countless pieces at any time. Let me ask you, have you seen a black serpent during this time? I advise you to tell the truth. Otherwise, I will definitely make you regret it. Although His Excellency had spoken ruthlessly, he still could not find the fire Chilean's hiding place. However, His Excellency's experience was not something an ordinary demonic beast could compare to. Even if he was not confident, he still looked straight ahead with an indifferent expression and used a threatening tone to talk to the fire Chilean. This ghost's domain was indeed very strange. The tracing mark on the black snake's body showed that it was here, but its master had searched through the entire ghost's domain and still could not find the black snake. Now, there was a desolate demon realm aura that could even communicate with it, but it could not find the other party's location. Black snake. I have indeed seen one, but... The fire Kirin paused for a moment, and a mocking look flashed through its flame-like eyes. Who do you think you are? Even if the beast Lord Kirin were to personally come, he would still have to show some respect to me. How dare you threaten me? It seems like the Hungduan mountain range has declined quite a bit over the years. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks they are invincible. Although the difference between the desolate demon realm and the desolate demon realm was only one realm, they were also divided into different levels. How powerful was the fire Kirin in the past? It was a peerless monster that could directly enter the depths of the Hungduan mountain range and challenge the beast Lord Kirin's rule. Although his lord's body was hiding a considerable amount of power, in the eyes of the fire Kirin, he was just a slightly more powerful monster. It even felt that it did not need to recover its full strength. As long as it could use 60% of its peak strength, it could easily deal with this arrogant guy. How dare you? How dare you call the beast Lord Kirin so directly? His lord's face darkened and he said with a hoarse voice, a mere clown dares to boast so shamelessly. It seems like you are not a monster of the Hungduan mountain range. But no matter, when I catch you, this one will naturally teach you how to respect the Hungduan mountain range's master. Everything that happened in the Hungduan mountain range seemed to be under the control of the Beast Lord Kirin. Almost every year, there would be hundreds of monster suppression groups hidden in the Hungduan mountain range that were destroyed. There were also countless monster clans that did not abide by the rules that were destroyed. However, they often did not know how the Beast Lord Kirin knew what they were doing in secret. Even for an existence like his lord, if he wanted to move freely in the depths of the Hungduan mountain range, he would have to praise the Beast Lord Kirin from time to time to prevent himself from being caught by the other party. Then let's talk about it when you find me. The Fire Kirin sneered and said provocatively, "The black snake you are looking for is in my hands. Whether or not you can take it away from me will depend on your own ability. After all, trash like you probably won't be able to find me even when the world is destroyed." When the Fire Kirin finished speaking, his lord was slightly startled. Then, a trace of panic appeared in his eyes. Dragon bloodline monsters could be the harvester of the heart of purgatory, but the black snake was different. The black snake had an extremely pure dragon bloodline. He had a vague premonition that after the black snake harvested the heart of purgatory, he would be able to completely shed his ugly true form and become a noble dragon by eating the black snake. Therefore, he had protected the black snake at all costs during this period of time, even going as far as to offend the Green Marsh clan, a clan that had 3 desolate demon realm experts, in order to smoothly carry out his plan. However, now that the black snake had fallen into the hands of this unknown desolate demon realm monster instead of him, he suddenly felt uncertain. After all, the black snake had an incomparably pure dragon bloodline. Even the experts of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas wouldn't dare to say that their bloodline was superior to the black snake's. Faced with this level of temptation, very few monsters could resist the desire to devour the black snake. Although he didn't know what the hidden fellow was thinking about the black snake, he was sure that once he squeezed the black snake dry, he would definitely not let go of the pure dragon bloodline. At the same time, this also meant that there was no room for negotiation between the two sides. Once they met, there would only be a battle. "My lord, I found it." A grey mouse that was following the group of monsters suddenly raised its head and shouted with a face full of surprise. The group of demonic beasts were all attracted to the scene. The white mouse circled around in place a few times, as if it was confirming something. Then, its 2 front legs began to dig wildly. It actually dug out a passageway in the void. A hollowed treasure-seeking mouse? The Fire Kirin's surprised voice suddenly sounded, as if it didn't expect such a monster to exist among its opponents. Chapter 226. Kirin couldn't help but be surprised. This was because the space-digging treasure-seeking mouse had almost gone extinct in the era when it was still active. Other than a few fellows who escaped into the void, all of them were killed. Even those who survived did not dare to enter the main plane. There was no other reason other than that this creature was too monstrous. The establishment and positioning of the Sumeru world required a Kongming or desolate demon realm existence to build a suitable tomb before they died. Although some of them did have the intention of letting their descendants enter their Sumeru world to take away their inheritance and treasures, most of them just wanted to let themselves be at peace after death. However, these space-digging treasure-seeking mice didn't care about that. Once they located the Sumeru world, they would aggressively dig a void tunnel and bring their master and companions into the Sumeru world. This kind of behavior was even more tyrannical than the so-called grave robbers in Lin Yuan's previous life. After all, grave robbers still followed the rules. At most, they would dig a hole. Moreover, some things couldn't be touched, so they wouldn't touch them easily. They wouldn't do anything that would humiliate the dead. The space-digging treasure-seeking mouse wasn't an ancient species. It was a hybrid product created by humans using various demon beasts for breeding experiments. It had almost no combat power, but it could use its claws to dig a hole in the void. A desolate demon realm space-digging mouse could travel millions of miles in the void a year ago and easily locate a Sumeru world attached to the main plane. The space-digging treasure-seeking mouse following His Excellency wasn't a powerful existence. It was only at the Wisdom Realm level 3 and couldn't even withstand a tail attack from Lin Yuan. However, after such a long time, it had no problem locating a Sumeru world. I was wondering why an unfamiliar demon beast from the desolate demon realm would appear. So it's the filthy thing that stole Senior's tomb. See if I don't drag you out and teach you how to respect your seniors. His Excellency's eyes flashed with greed. If this Sumeru world could create a desolate demon realm existence, then the treasures inside definitely wouldn't be inferior. In addition, the other party's aura was weak, obviously it had just broken through not long ago. This also meant that it hadn't completely devoured the things in the Sumeru world. If it could devour the other party and obtain the treasures in the Sumeru world, even if the black snake died in the process, it would only feel pity. Within Sumeru world. As the creator of Sumeru world, the Fire Kirin could feel the connection between its Sumeru world and the main world becoming clearer and clearer. The gloominess in its eyes could not be dispelled. It only wanted the beasts outside to leave as soon as possible. It did not expect that there would be a treasure-hunting mouse in the group, which directly located the location of this Sumeru world. Turning its gaze, the Fire Kirin fixed its gaze on the black serpent that was roaming around the Sumeru world, hunting down the weak. Its eyes narrowed as it began to plan. After this period of observation, it had a certain understanding of the black snake's devouring power. It was a power that was countless times stronger than its own. The moment it killed its opponent, it could extract all the energy in its opponent's body and then transform it into a part of its own. With such an ability, as long as the black snake did not die prematurely, it would become a giant existence in this world sooner or later. Black Serpent, you're the one who caused this trouble. I have no obligation to risk my life for you. A trace of hatred flashed through the Fire Kirin's eyes. In the next moment, it began to operate the devouring array, gathering the constantly roaming life force. From its originally almost invisible state, the life force even formed a huge milky white ball of light. Then, it shot directly in Lin Yuan's direction. Lin Yuan, who was chasing a mountain lord realm beast, sensed something whistling behind him. He instinctively turned his head to look behind him, only to see a dazzling but not blinding white light. Soon after, his entire serpent was enveloped by the white light. Enveloped by the white light, Lin Yuan felt a comfortable warmth all over his body, as if he was soaking in a hot spring. That was not all. The system broadcast continuously appeared in Lin Yuan's mind. Ding. The system has detected that the host has absorbed a large amount of pure energy. 1 attribute point has been obtained. Ding. The system has detected that the host has absorbed a large amount of pure energy. 1 attribute point has been obtained. Ding. The system has detected that the host has absorbed a large amount of pure energy. 1 attribute point has been obtained. The free attribute points on the interface were jumping wildly. Lin Yuan resisted the tiredness brought about by the extreme comfort of his body and opened the interface. He began to add the free attribute points to his own attributes. Soon, Lin Yuan felt some special changes taking place in his body. However, these changes did not appear. Instead, they were stuck there. This feeling of neither going up nor down made Lin Yuan feel even more tormented. Me. You got lucky. The Fire Kirin snorted coldly. Finally, it glanced at Lin Yuan, who had turned into a white cocoon of light, and a trace of pity flashed across its eyes. In addition to the life force needed to be paid for its resurrection, the Fire Kirin had also accumulated another batch of life force. Its purpose was to quickly heal its injuries after its resurrection. However, now that a powerful enemy was at its doorstep, absorbing life force was not something that could be done overnight. Naturally, the Fire Kirin did not dare to absorb the life force itself. After much consideration, the Fire Kirin decisively poured the life force into Lin Yuan's body. It could sense that the monsters outside did not have the slightest bit of goodwill toward this black snake. Therefore, they had probably come here to capture this black snake, and it was just a dispensable addition. Although it was not at its peak, it was still an existence in the wilderness demon realm. The other party might not have the courage to fight to the death with it. Therefore, it felt that under such tempting circumstances, the other party would definitely let it go. However, a cold glint flashed across the Fire Kirin's eyes as it looked at the shattered void barrier. After all, it was a formidable existence. How could it leave with its tail between its legs after being forced into such a state by a junior that it did not even have an impression of? At the very least, it had to let the other party know what pain was. A ball of orange-red flames condensed in front of the fire Kareen and swept directly toward the void tunnel. The space-digging treasure-seeking mouse, which had just stuck out half of its head, was slightly startled. It instinctively fled toward the void tunnel. However, the difference in strength between the two parties was too great. The space-digging treasure-seeking mouse had just turned around when it was devoured by the fireball. It turned into a pile of ashes and fell into the void tunnel. Chapter 227. You're courting death. His Excellency's cold roar rang out from the other side of the void tunnel. The rarity of the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse was enough to drive any faction crazy. After all, obtaining a hollowed treasure-seeking mouse meant that as long as there was a Sumeru world in the vicinity, it was equivalent to having the entire Sumeru world in their pocket. Even if they didn't find the tomb of a powerhouse that could suppress an entire era, they would at least find a desolate demon realm or void netherworld realm existence. Just thinking about it made one realize how much of a resource this was. However, before His Excellency's follow-up plans could be carried out, the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse was reduced to ashes by the fire Kareen's fury, instantly shattering His Excellency's beautiful dream. What a pity! The fire Kareen shook its head, a hint of desolation flashing through its eyes. The void tunnel dug by the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse would only disappear under two circumstances. The first was when the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse voluntarily closed the tunnel, and the second was when it was attacked by a powerful void turbulence. Therefore, even if the fire Kareen killed the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse, it would be useless. Its Sumeru world was still connected to the main world, and everything here would be exposed to the outside world. Trespassing into my Sumeru world, die. The fire Kareen completely ignored Its Excellency's angry roar. Its eyes were cold as it stared at the void tunnel in front of it. The demonic beasts that had swarmed into the void tunnel were startled. They immediately faced the fire Kareen and arched their backs, occasionally letting out threatening growls from their nostrils. However, under the pressure of the fireball just now, these demonic beasts still didn't dare to offend the dignity of a desolate demon realm existence. Not a single demonic beast dared to step forward and provoke it. A bunch of trash. Get out of my way. Its Excellency's exasperated voice rang out. Soon after, a huge dragon head slowly reached into the void tunnel. The fire Kareen's 4 feet were ablaze as it stepped into the void. It looked at the huge dragon head with a hint of contempt in its eyes. Another one who had gone crazy from wanting to transform into a dragon. As a member of the Kareen clan whose bloodline was as noble as the dragon clan's, the fire Kareen could sense that the other party only had a thin trace of the dragon clan's bloodline. Furthermore, the dragon clan's aura was not fused with the fire Kareen clan's. It was obvious that the dragon clan's bloodline had been plundered. In terms of bloodline, the dragon clan's bloodline was far inferior to the black serpent's. Yet, the dragon clan had chosen to disguise itself as a dragon clan member. Wasn't that insane? Fire Kareen, His Excellency and Hua Kareen looked at each other. Suddenly, their expressions froze and they couldn't help but cry out. Back then, the fire Kareen had challenged the position of Beast Lord Kareen and was hunted down by all the demon beasts in the Hungduan mountain range. In a panic, the fire Kareen fled to the outskirts of the Hungduan mountain range and disappeared without a trace. This was a rumor circulating among the demon beasts in the Hungduan mountain range. However, after so many years, no one had seen the fire Kareen again. Not even its corpse could be found. Who would have thought that it would see the fire Kareen again in this place? That's right, again. It had been dormant in the Hungduan mountain range for a long time and had never found a suitable opportunity to blend in. If it weren't for the fire Kareen incident, which led to the death of a large number of demon beasts in the Hungduan mountain range, it wouldn't have the status and power it had today. Therefore, when it saw the fire Kareen again, its feelings were extremely complicated. The fire Kareen pawed its hooves in midair and sneered, "Why are you so stunned? Let's keep going." As one of the legends in the Hungduan mountain range, the fire Kareen knew very well that Its Excellency had recognized its true identity. That was why it had such an expression. His Excellency pondered for a moment, and a pair of vertical pupils swept across the Fire Kirene. He said coldly, "Fire Kirene, you are my senior. I can give you face today and let you leave safely, but you must give me the Black Serpent and this Sumeru world. Then, you must keep this matter a secret, otherwise, after that incident with me, the Beast Lord Kirene's desire to control the Hungduan mountain range is almost pathological. Young man, you have gathered so many demon beasts here. Do you think the Beast Lord Kirene knows about what happened here?" The Fire Kirene narrowed its eyes slightly and sneered, "You don't have to pretend with me. I am a fire divine beast. I can tell at a glance that the flames in your bodies are different from ordinary flames. Are you sure you want to give me face, or are you worried that other demon beasts will discover your secret?" When its voice fell, the Fire Kirene slowly raised its chin. Fire snakes surrounded the white cocoon that wrapped Lin Yuan. His Excellency was slightly startled, and panic appeared in its eyes again. Although it did not know what the white cocoon was, at such a close distance, it could intuitively feel the tracking mark on the Black Serpent, so it was 80% sure that the Black Serpent was in the cocoon. It temporarily regarded the white cocoon as a means for the Fire Kirene to bind Lin Yuan. The Fire Kirene's meaning was very clear. Either everyone showed their sincerity, whether it was the Sumeru world or the Black Serpent, it was not that it could not give them, but His Excellency also had to pay a corresponding price. Otherwise, the first thing the Fire Kirene would do was to burn the Black Serpent under its control, and then go all out to make a big fuss, attracting the attention of all the high-level demon beasts in the Hungduan mountain range, and then everyone would die together. His Excellency licked its nose, and the panic in its vertical pupils was instantly suppressed. It said in a deep voice, "Tell me, what do you want me to give you in exchange for the Sumeru world and the Black Serpent?" After knowing the other party's purpose and confirming that it was not impossible to negotiate, His Excellency was naturally not as panicked as it was at the beginning. As its mind gradually calmed down, His Excellency's thoughts gradually increased. "It's very simple. I need a reasonable identity. After all, even if the outside environment has changed, we demon beasts can only live in the Hungduan mountain range. So when we meet some high-level demon beasts, I still need an identity that can fool them. I think this is not difficult. After all, if you can do it, then you can definitely help me do it. In addition, I haven't left the Sumeru world for a long time, and I've long been tired of it. You have to help me prepare a feast. Remember, only demon beasts with special bloodlines or talented humans are qualified to be my blood food. For the time being, these are my two requests. If you can agree, then we can talk. If you don't, hey." The Fire Kirene stretched its body and slowly put forward its request. This, His Excellency's eyes flashed with doubt. The Fire Kirene's request was actually not excessive. It could even be said that it was a little too simple. If these conditions could be exchanged for a Sumeru world, then it would accept as many as there were. Chapter 228. Oh no! Sir Kirene was startled and snapped out of his contemplation. At the same time, the entire Sumeru world began to tremble. Cracks that looked like glass appeared on the space barrier. The slightest contact would result in a bloody mess or even a broken limb. Sir Kirene's expression darkened. He abruptly pulled his head out of the void tunnel and looked at the collapsed space tunnel in front of him. A look of contemplation flashed across his eyes. He sensed that something was wrong. He also realized that the Fire Kirene was playing tricks on him. However, he did not expect that the Fire Kirene would dare to directly detonate the entire Sumeru world. In this way, this well-hidden Sumeru world would completely collapse in the endless void. Everything in Sumeru world would completely vanish. Unless the Fire Kirene had already set up a teleportation array in Sumeru world. The moment Sumeru world collapsed, the Fire Kirene was directly teleported to some place in the main plane. Yes, that must be it. Sir Kirene's eyes flashed with a dangerous cold light. If the Fire Kirene had the thought that it would rather die than let Sir Kirene obtain Sumeru world, it would not have wasted so much time talking nonsense with Sir Kirene. It should be multitasking. On one hand, it was stalling for time. On the other hand, it was adjusting the time of Sumeru World's explosion. On the other hand, it was also activating the teleportation array. Sir Kirene calmed down and sensed for a moment. Then, Sir Kirene shook his head gloomily. Sumeru World had collapsed too quickly. As a void tunnel that was even more unstable than Sumeru World, it was naturally the first to collapse. If Sir Kirene had not pulled out in time, it might have been decapitated by the void power. It would not have been able to investigate the existence of other arrays in Sumeru World. As for the subordinates that were left behind in the void tunnel, their only fate was to die without leaving behind a corpse. This Fire Kirene was an existence that had toyed with the entire Hungduan Mountains in the past. It did things very cleanly and neatly. It did not even leave a trace behind. It was obvious that the teleportation array that it had set up in Sumeru World was not near the Ghost Realm. It might not even be in the Hungduan Mountains. Fire Kirene, you ruined my plans. I will definitely make you pay. His Excellency slapped the ground angrily, causing cracks to appear on the ground. He looked rather flustered and exasperated. Jushin, so it was you who caused such a big commotion in the ghost's domain. A goshawk with 3 heads flew over and flapped its wings. It stared at Sir and said in a cold voice, "The Beastmaster asked me to come and see what the unusual spatial fluctuation was. Morshin, the two of us are old friends, you don't have to make things difficult for me, right?" When the goshawk spoke, its eyes flickered with ridicule as if it did not take Morshin seriously at all. It was extremely frivolous. The lord who was addressed as Moxibustion Heart narrowed his eyes slightly, but he did not answer the question immediately. In terms of territory, Moxibustion Heart and the Inferno demon beasts under its command combined could drown this goshawk and its subordinates with a spit of saliva. In terms of strength, Moxibustion Heart boasted that it could kill this goshawk within 3 rounds if it went all out. The pressure that this goshawk brought to Moxibustion Heart was not even as great as that black snake. However, this goshawk was the favorite servant of the Beastmaster Kirene. Although it was not as good as Moxibustion Heart, it relied on the undisguised favor of the Beastmaster. This goshawk was usually extremely arrogant. Its behavior was not only directed at Moxibustion Heart. Replying to Lord Chi Lei's question, "Just now I brought my subordinates here to search for a group of human demon slayers. I accidentally discovered the existence of a Sumeru world. After confirming it, I asked my subordinates to dig a void tunnel and locate the Sumeru world. As a result, I saw the Fire Kirene inside. After a tough battle, the Fire Kirene detonated the Sumeru world, burying all my subordinates in the endless void. Only I was lucky enough to barely escape." Moxibustion Heart had no intention of lying. After all, according to the methods of the Beast Palace, the truth could be found out in a moment. Therefore, he only concealed some details. "What? Fire Kirene?" Chi Lei's expression changed. He stared at Moxibustion Heart with burning eyes and said in a deep voice, "Moxibustion Heart, don't think that we don't know what you are planning in secret. There are countless pairs of eyes watching you every day. I just want to hear what you are going to fabricate. I didn't expect you to mention that taboo. Do you know what you are talking about?" The name Fire Kirene was definitely a taboo in the Hungduan mountain range. Even a favored subordinate like Chi Lei would have to bear the wrath of Beast King Kirene if he mentioned this name. Moxibustion Heart is speaking the truth. If Beast King doesn't believe me, you can check it at any time. Moxibustion Heart nodded slightly. There was no expression in his eyes. At this moment, it was certain that the Beast Lord Chelene had already suspected it due to its plans for the Purgatory's heart. It had specially arranged for Arresting Thunder to closely monitor it. However, during this period of time, Arresting Thunder's attention seemed to have been attracted by something, or perhaps it simply did not take the monitoring of it seriously. That was why it had said such ridiculous things. It was probably afraid that the Beast Lord Chelene would punish it. "Good. Even if what you said is true, then tell me, where is the Fire Kirene?" Chi Lei flapped his wings and looked around the forest. He said coldly, "That traitor can't not come out after detonating Sumeru world, right? Don't tell me that after hiding in Sumeru world for so long, the Fire Kirene's brain was damaged, and after you saw it, It immediately committed suicide. In addition to Moxibustion heart, there were some traces of monsters in the surroundings. It matched the information from the Monster King court. However, other than the demonic beasts that followed Ju Xin, there were no traces of other demonic beasts, not to mention the fire Chileen. If the fire Chileen had really appeared, the entire forest would have been scorched. The fire Kirin is very cunning. It set up a teleportation formation in Sumeru world and didn't have time to see it, so naturally I don't know where the fire Kirin is now. I'm only answering Master Chi Lei's question. The unusual spatial fluctuations here before were caused by the fire Kirin detonating its own Sumeru world. Moxibustion heart glanced at Chi Lei. He was too lazy to talk nonsense with this idiot. If he had the time, he might as well search around and see if he could find any traces of the fire Kirin. Why waste his time talking nonsense with this idiot? When it came to the fire Kirin, even if it was just a joke, it was a big deal in the Hungduan Mountains. Chapter 229. Shunwu Dynasty, Shunning City. In the early years, Shunning City was actually just a checkpoint. When the ancestors of the Jiao clan built this checkpoint, it was to keep all the monsters in the Hungduan mountain range out of the Shunwu dynasty's territory. Almost every year when the monster tide came, countless heroes would die in this place. These years, as the structure of the 7 great dynasties was settled, the beast lord Kirin retreated from the world and the influence of the Hungduan mountain range became smaller and smaller. Shunning City and the 6 outposts outside became the 7 border cities today. At this moment, a young man wearing a red robe with cloud patterns was slowly moving forward with the crowd entering Shunning City with his hands behind his back. However, at this moment, he did not notice that dozens of eyes were looking at him. These eyes belonged to some local ruffians who came from all over the world. Usually, they were idle and took advantage of the fact that they still had some strength to bully ordinary people. It was basically their source of happiness and income. They had been gathering in Shunning City for a long time. After all, the people from the few nearby cities had brought their families to Shunning City. Almost all of their belongings were with them. Except for those who looked particularly poor, they could rob anyone and live a carefree life for a long time. In the end, they would distribute the loot to the mercenaries of the merchant union who were responsible for the defense. Naturally, there would be someone to cover for them and they did not need to worry about being held accountable. As for whether those who were robbed could survive or not, what did that have to do with them? Brother we found a fat sheep. A burly young man with a scar on his face trotted to a middle-aged man who was sitting next to the tower with a flattering smile on his face. Brother nodded and slowly stood up from the ground. He stretched out his hand and patted the dust on his butt. Then, he looked in the direction that the young man with a scar was pointing at. With just a glance, Brother Mi's face suddenly became gloomy. Scar, is this the big fish you told me about? Brother Mi almost broke his back molars as he squeezed out word by word from the gap between his teeth. Yes, is there a problem? Brother Mi Scar nodded, a trace of doubt in his tone. The young man who was wearing a red robe with cloud patterns had a fair complexion. Not to mention doing manual labor, he probably didn't even get much exposure to the sun. The material of his clothes was quite good, at least much better than the young masters he had seen before. Also, the accessories worn by this young man weren't bad either. A few of his brothers who had been grave robbers in the past said that the accessories worn by this young man were all made of the best materials. The worst one was an item from hundreds of years ago. No matter which one of them was put up for auction, it would probably be worth a fortune. Most importantly, this rich young master was moving around alone. They had been watching for a while and were certain that this rich young master did not have any attendants by his side. He did not even have any experts protecting him in the dark. This was an excellent opportunity. Normally, who would not have dozens of fat and strong guards by his side? If you want to die, then go ahead and die. Don't drag me down with you. This kid isn't someone we can afford to offend. Brother Mi waved his hand in annoyance. The expression on his face was incomparably cold. His originally good mood had been ruined by the lack of judgment of these people. That young man indeed did not have any experts protecting him. But that did not mean that he was a pushover. This bunch of ignorant fellows could see that the young man's clothes were not ordinary, and that he was wearing all sorts of priceless accessories. The only thing they did not see was the small pendant hanging from each of his wrists behind his back. That was one of the Demon Slayer Guild's greatest creations, the Demon Slayer pouch. Under the condition that demonic beasts were willing or unconscious, they could be stored in the Demon Slayer pouch and carried around by the Demon Slayer Guild. However, the cost of making a Demon Slayer pouch was simply too high. It was not something an ordinary Demon Slayer master could afford to equip. Ordinary demonic beasts were also not worth wasting a Demon Slayer pouch to transport. Brother Mi used to be one of the logistics members of the Demon Slayer Guild. So the moment he saw the Demon Slayer pouch, he felt some fear towards this unfamiliar young man. After all, if the Demon Slayer pouch did not contain any demonic beasts, it should be transparent like glass. However, the two Demon Slayer pouches hanging from the young man's wrists were black. It was obvious that there were two demonic beasts with extraordinary cultivation inside. According to the various conclusions, this young man was either a top Demon Slayer master of the Demon Slayer Guild, or a genius disciple groomed by some sect. Or perhaps, he was a follower of someone like the former. As for the possibility that he was a fellow Demon Slayer Guild member pretending to be a fat sheep to take advantage of the situation, that was not very likely. Although such things had happened in the past, there was really no fellow Demon Slayer Guild member in the vicinity who could take out such a large amount of wealth. But, Brother Mi. Scar's lips parted, a trace of hesitation in his eyes. A fat sheep that was rich to such an extent was hard to come by in 1,000 years. It wasn't easy for him to bump into one. Should he just watch as the other party slipped away right under his nose? I've already said it. If you want to die, go ahead. I'm not doing this deal. Don't implicate me. Brother Mi's eyes flashed with a cold light. Seeing how Scar was unable to move his eyes away, Brother Mi knew that he wouldn't be able to persuade this bunch of bastards to go to their deaths. Right now, he could only pray that the other party's temper wasn't that bad. At the very least, he wouldn't vent his anger on him after killing these ignorant hooligans. One knew that he couldn't afford to offend such an existence, while the other was unwilling to let such a large amount of wealth slip away just like that. Thus, their previous discussion naturally ended on a sour note. 5 minutes later, Scar returned to his seat with a face full of indignation. He spat to the side with disdain and said coldly, "What's there to be proud of? Didn't you just work as a support staff for the Demon Slayer Guild for a period of time? Didn't you still get chased away by the Demon Slayer Guild? Can't afford to offend them? They're both carrying a head on their shoulders. How strong can a weak-looking brat be? Brother Scar. Brother Scar." Seeing that Scar had returned, more than 10 hooligans gathered around him. Their slightly turbid eyes were fixed on Scar's face. Scar raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "Brother Mi has something to do at the last minute, so he can't participate in this operation. However, that brat doesn't have any bodyguards by his side. If we all rush up and snatch him away, he won't be able to do anything to us. At worst, we can just go to another city and hide our identities. In any case, once we get the money, we can do whatever we want." Ha 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 ha. The group of hooligans also laughed along with him. Chapter 230. Idiots. Brother Mi, who was standing on top of the city gate tower, narrowed his eyes and looked at the group of thugs below. He wasn't sure if these people, who were blinded by money, would have the chance to go to other cities and hide their identities. However, he believed that he could still make it if he ran away now. Otherwise, the impact of more than a dozen corpses on the street would be huge. Even if these dead fellows were all ruffians and scoundrels that no one loved, but under the situation where the demon beast was about to rush out of the Hungduan mountain range and flatten the 7 border cities, the hearts of the people who were already in a state of panic might not be able to withstand the slightest provocation, right? Stirring up trouble at this time was equivalent to making an enemy of the entire Shunwu dynasty. Hiss. As soon as the thought of running away arose, Brother Mi subconsciously sucked in a breath of cold air. That was because the young man in the crowd had appeared in front of him without him noticing. The senses of experts were very sharp. Even if it was just a glance, they could easily find the source, let alone the people who were pointing at them. Therefore, Brother Mi wasn't surprised that the young man would come looking for him. What frightened him was the young man's silent, ghost-like movements. The young man left the crowd without a sound, left the sight of Scar's group of thugs, and suddenly appeared in front of him. Brother Mi was able to work for the Demon Slayer Guild before, which meant that his level of training was not low. While he was not as good as those frontline combatants, he was still firmly among the ranks of airborne realm fighters thanks to the resources provided by the Demon Slayer Guild. It was precisely because of his level of training that Scar's team was able to take over one of Shunning City's gates. Taking advantage of a burning house was never a person's idea. There were actually many groups like Scar's in Shunning City. However, most of them were not strong enough, so they could only find some prey that was missed by others. They could barely make a living. People like Scar's group, who were directly near the city gates, could naturally pick the best prey. "Where are you going?" The young man showed a perfect smile on his face and slowly asked. Brother Mi was speechless for a moment. However, a hint of doubt flashed across his heart. Although he had been observing some details of the other party's body, the distance was too far and he couldn't see clearly. Now that he was face to face, he realized that the young man in front of him didn't seem to be a human. Although his skin was pale due to not being exposed to the sun all year round, it was definitely not as pale as this. His entire person looked like a piece of white paper. More importantly, under such pale skin, Brother Mi could not find any meridians or blood vessels. This fellow seemed to be a puppet. "My lord, there is no enmity between us. There is no need for this, right?" Brother Mi narrowed his eyes as a helpless expression appeared on his face. He said in a deep voice, "Seeing that I'm not a threat to you, I'll have to trouble you to lift your hand and let me live." Previously, Brother Mi was only worried about provoking a formidable character. Now, Brother Mi wished he could stay as far away from this puppet as possible, because the one controlling the puppets might not necessarily be a human. Those demonic beasts who had dealings with human forces also liked to control the puppets to enter human territory. The demonic beasts' true bodies were hidden in the demon-subduing pouch while they controlled the puppet's body. Similar situations had happened before. During the most tragic period of the war between humans and demonic beasts, many human cities were destroyed by the demonic beasts. "But you've already provoked me. Now, I'll give you two choices. 1. Prepare a quiet place for me to live. 2. I'll kill you right now." The young man said slowly with a mocking smile on his face. All right. I'll bring you there." Brother Mi sighed helplessly. He knew that his fate had come. No matter what, he couldn't escape. Therefore, he could only pray that this fellow in front of him wasn't a spy sent by the demonic beasts. Otherwise, once Shunning City fell, not only would he have to die, even those who were slightly related to him wouldn't be able to escape. Brother Mi led the way in front while the young man followed behind expressionlessly. Both parties were at peace. No one was playing any tricks. It wasn't until they entered a dark alley that the young man behind Brother Mi frowned slightly. He slowly placed his right hand on his waist, as if he was ready to draw his weapon at any time. Brother Mi was suddenly shocked. He turned his head to look at the young man with a terrified expression. Was the other party ready to kill him? "Brother Mi, TSK. I treat you as my brother. Yet, you're playing tricks behind my back." Dao Ba's sarcastic voice suddenly rang out. Accompanied by the sound of sticks rubbing against the ground, more than 10 hoodlums came out of the alley, dragging sticks and short knives. Each of them looked at Brother Mi with a cold expression. "This is someone you can't afford to offend, is it? Brother Mi, you're not the only one with a brain. You're just trying to scare us off so that you can keep this wealth for yourself." Dao Ba raised the short knife in his hand and pointed it at Brother Mi. His eyes flashed with coldness. He wasn't here specifically to ambush Brother Mi. It was just that the fat sheep that he had his eyes on earlier had disappeared into the crowd in a few turns. Their trip here was for naught. Hence, They wanted to ease their relationship with Brother Mi and find another suitable prey. However, they didn't expect to see Brother Mi and this young man on their way home. In an instant, a wave of anger rushed to the top of his head. Dao Ba didn't even think before he drew his short knife and blocked Brother Mi's path home. Dao Ba, I'm not. Brother Mi opened his mouth and wanted to explain. However, when he thought of the mysterious identity of the young man behind him, Brother Mi tactfully kept his mouth shut. If this bunch of hoodlums insisted on fighting, they would be the ones to die. If he said anything, not only would it not change the outcome of this bunch of hoodlums, it would also cost him his life for no reason. Thinking of this, Brother Mi could only sigh softly. Good words couldn't persuade a damned ghost. You're not what? At this point, you're still trying to lie to me. Brother Mi, touch your conscience and tell me, what have we done wrong to you? Every time we catch a fat sheep, it's always me and my brothers who risk our lives at the front. However, when it comes to splitting the loot, you're always the one who gets the biggest share. If this deal is successful, not only you, but all of us brothers will be rich men in the future. But what about you? You actually want to keep it all to yourself. The more Dao Ba thought about it, the angrier he got. He continuously used the tip of his knife to hit the wall of the alley beside him. His face revealed a crazed expression. Chapter 231. Brother Mi remained silent as he listened to Scar's words. He had to admit that Scar was right. He was never present during the robbery, but when it came to splitting the money, he would definitely get the most. However, he had a clear conscience when it came to this money. He was the one who paid to bribe the merchant union. He was also the one who defeated the other gangs one by one when they wanted to seize the precious land of the city gate. If it wasn't for him, an airborne realm existence, would these gangsters, who were mostly below the mortal evolution realm, be able to do such a profitable business with no capital in Shunning City? Brother Mi originally thought that there was no need for words between brothers. But now, it seemed that these brothers of his had never understood him. They even harbored enmity towards him, thinking that he shouldn't get a share of the money that was several times more than theirs. Seems like you're not very popular. The young man smiled, looking as if he didn't mind blowing things up. Who the F***ck are you to speak? Kid, let me tell you, I call the shots on this street. If you still know who you can mess with and who you can't, then obediently hand over all your valuables. If I'm happy that you're throwing money at me, you can still get your worthless life back. Scar pointed his finger at the young man and cursed. When Scar's voice fell, the air seemed to have frozen, and the surrounding temperature dropped by a few degrees. It wasn't a psychological effect, but the temperature really dropped by a few degrees. Even the surrounding walls of the alley slowly condensed a thin layer of frost. You're awake so soon? The young man didn't pay attention to Scar. Instead, he shook the demon-subduing pouch on his right wrist with interest. A huge demonic aura flashed by, but at this moment, an even stronger force erupted from the young man's body, directly covering up this demonic aura. In this noisy Shunning City, that flash of demonic aura didn't arouse anyone's vigilance. The few people who noticed the existence of the demonic aura frowned slightly. They simply couldn't find the source of this demonic energy and completely lost all traces of it. They could only helplessly give up on continuing the search, but the vigilance in their hearts increased by a few levels. The soldiers and civilians of the other 6 cities at the border were gathering in Shunning City. Firstly, the city was crowded, and secondly, it was convenient for the demonic beasts to gather their forces. Although this was the best solution at the moment, many people were still dissatisfied. Every day, countless leaders were clamoring to change the status quo. Under such circumstances, their internal conflicts had not been solved yet, so how could they have the time to deal with the problems of the outside world? If the demonic beasts really appeared in Shunning City, the morale of the soldiers and the people that they had worked so hard to build would collapse in an instant. However, even though these big shots didn't notice the demonic power, it didn't mean that others didn't notice it. For example, Scar and the group of gangsters who were close by just now were all paralyzed with fear at this moment. They looked at the calm and composed young man with disbelief in their eyes. They really couldn't understand how this seemingly weak guy could release such a terrifying force. Even Dao Ba, who was the strongest among them, was only at level 6 of the mortal evolution state. In front of that demonic aura, Dao Ba didn't even have the right to stabilize himself. He almost knelt down. At this moment, Dao Ba's face was full of despair. Suddenly, he remembered what Brother Mi said before. This young man was indeed not a fat sheep, but a ferocious beast that they could never provoke. Luckily, I didn't cause a big mess. The young man shook his head gently and put his right hand behind his waist again. He said in a deep voice, "By the way, where are we at just now? Oh, you asked me to hand over all my valuables. If you're in a good mood, you can still let me live, right?" The young man looked at Dao Ba with ridicule. He didn't stop walking and slowly approached his target. Dao Ba was so scared that tears flowed down his face. He used both his hands and feet to move backward. The fear in his eyes couldn't be suppressed. Although he was not an existence with great experience and strength, he had a deep understanding of the viciousness of the human heart after living on the edge of a blade for so long. It would still be fine if they did not provoke this young man earlier. However, now that they knew some of this young man's secrets, how was it any different from a fool's dream if they wanted to escape unscathed? Of course, I know what you're saying is bullsh*t. Whether I cooperate with you or not, I'm going to die in the end. The young man still had a gentle smile on his face, but he said in confusion, "But I'm very curious. How do you plan to kill me?" "Patter." The young man snapped his fingers and said, "Beat you to death." One thug suddenly groaned. All his bones and tendons were instantly broken, and he died on the spot. It looked like he was beaten up by a group of people and had his bones and tendons broken. Patter. Drowned. One of the thugs suddenly covered his mouth and nose. He struggled like a drowning person, but soon, he fell to the ground with a pale face and no longer made a sound. Patter. 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 The sound of fingers snapping echoed in his ears. The brothers that Dao Ba brought here died in all kinds of ways in this alley that people rarely passed by. Corpses of all kinds of shapes and sizes fell in front of Dao Ba. "Devil. You're a devil." Dao Ba's tears, snot, and saliva flowed together. He looked at the young man who was getting closer and closer and shouted crazily. Under this kind of pressure that was close to despair, Dao Ba's heart had reached its limit. It was like a tightly stretched string. If it was touched slightly, he would directly break. "Let's give him a quick death." Brother Mi suddenly opened his mouth and said. When his voice fell, he tilted his head slightly. These thugs gathered here were all his brothers in the past. Most of them were just nodding acquaintances with him. However, after interacting with them for a long time, he could still clearly remember their names and personalities. And now, fresh lives were falling in the young man's hands. It was as easy and laughable as if he had nothing better to do. In the end, when only Dao Ba, who was the closest to him, was left, Brother Mi could not help but beg for mercy for Dao Ba, who was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Bang! Dao Ba's head instantly exploded. Before he died, a clear smile of relief appeared on Dao Ba's face. "I hope this is the last time I stop. Next time, if trouble comes knocking on my door, I'll get rid of you first." The young man glanced coldly at Brother Mi and said in a chilling voice, 200 monthly votes. Update tilde. Chapter 232. Half an hour later. In a remote courtyard in the south of Shunning City. The young man put his hands behind his back and kept shaking the 2 demon-subduing pouches in his hands. After a while, 2 figures, one black and one red, were thrown out of the demon-subduing pouches. One was Lin Yuan, whose scales gave off a faint golden glow, and the other was the fire Kirin, whose fur fluttered without any wind, like clusters of burning flames. "Hair, Black Serpent, you really didn't disappoint me. The speed at which you absorbed life energy is much faster than I expected." The fire Kirin pursed its lips and completely ignored the stunned Brother Mi. It turned its head and looked directly at Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan glanced at the fire Qilin expressionlessly, without the slightest change in his expression. He was silently adapting to the surging power in his body, and at the same time, trying his best to suppress the demonic energy in his body to prevent it from leaking out. Even though the fire Kirene did not tell him where this place was, judging from the architectural style of the surrounding buildings, it was definitely not a place where demonic beasts lived. It was even more impossible for it to be a demi-human that lived more like barbarians. Therefore, at this moment, Lin Yuan had already realized that the fire Kirene had brought him from the Hengduan Mountains to a human city while he was unconscious. "Why are you so cold? After all, I was the one who saved you." The fire Kirene smiled at Lin Yuan and said in a low voice, "Although I don't know what the relationship between you and that reptile is, I can feel that it has no good intentions towards you. If I didn't bring you out, you might have fallen into its hands by now. Why, don't you want to thank me?" Lin Yuan rolled his eyes and said mercilessly, "If I remember correctly, when we left the Sumeru space, a large part of the life energy that enveloped me was extracted. This means that you didn't want to take me with you. You just needed the life energy around me to start the escape plan. Secondly, that guy is indeed very malicious towards me. But when you speak, don't you think about what you've done? If it wasn't for the fact that I've already digested all of your life energy, I'm afraid you wouldn't be talking nonsense with me right now. You'd probably be gnawing on my flesh right now, right?" At this point, Lin Yuan paused and said coldly, "Also, where did you take me?" "Who knows?" The fire Kirene evaded the question and said nonchalantly, "The teleportation formation sent me to this godforsaken place. Moreover, we didn't have any combat power to speak of at that time. In order to get away from that insect, I could only bring you away from the Hengduan Mountains." Before leaving the Sumeru world, the Kirene had indeed hesitated whether to take Lin Yuan with it. However, time was too tight, and it could only take the black serpent with it as food reserves. But the fire Kirene had never imagined that the black serpent would devour all the life energy in such a short time. Eating the black serpent now would not make up for it. It might as well temporarily join forces with the black serpent and leave this city full of human patrols first. "The two of you. This is Shunning City, one of the 7 border cities of the Shunwu dynasty. It is also the last line of defense against the mystical beasts of the Shunwu dynasty. Now, the mystical beasts in the Hengduan Mountains are restless and have even rushed out of the buffer zone between the two forces. Except for some defenders who are unwilling to leave their homeland, the soldiers and civilians of the other 6 border cities are currently on their way to Shunning City. Right, this time, the mystical beasts in the Hengduan Mountains are extremely irritable. They have no intention of negotiating at all. Everyone they meet on the way is killed without hesitation. They have no intention of negotiating at all. It is said that a few days ago, the mystical beasts went on a killing spree. Even the emissary sent by the dynasty to negotiate was killed. Brother Mi, who felt an ice-cold knife pressing against his neck, immediately opened his mouth to show his worth. The fire Kirene and Lin Yuan both made a nasal sound of suspicion at the same time. Did the beast master Kirene take the wrong medicine? The Hengduan Mountains is waging a full-scale war with the Shunwu dynasty at this time. Is he not worried at all that the other 6 dynasties will attack him? Or is it that the two of us have actually transmigrated to another world and the Hengduan Mountains here can directly suppress the other 7 dynasties? Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with doubt. The fire Kirene was also dumbfounded. It suspected that there was something wrong with its teleportation formation and it was directly pulled into the past. It's not what you two think. This time, it's not the Hengduan mountain range that wants to start a war with the Shunwu dynasty. Instead, the Shunwu dynasty seems to have offended someone very powerful. The 2 neighboring dynasties have launched an attack on the Shunwu dynasty's territory almost at the same time. The southern coastal area has also been fiercely attacked by the Dragon Palace of the 4 Seas. As for the northern side, the Shunwu dynasty has given a death order to the 7 border cities. Even if we have to sacrifice our lives, we have to stop the demonic beasts outside the northern battlefront because the Shunwu dynasty can't transfer any troops to support us. Brother Mi explained in time again. After all, he had been drinking and eating with the mercenaries from the Merchant Union. Although he had completely lost the source of information from the Demon Slayer Guild, he still understood the current situation of the Shunwu dynasty. It was obviously a small boat that was swaying in a storm and could sink at any time. Lin Yuan and the Fire Kirin both fell silent. They thought that the Shunwu dynasty had done something that could make the Hungduan Mountains, which had been holed up for many years, go to war. They didn't expect that there was a hidden story behind this matter. However, what kind of power could command the two dynasties and the mystical beasts of the land and sea to launch an attack on the Shunwu dynasty at the same time? Have the people from Mountain Blocking City arrived at Shunning City? Lin Yuan suddenly glanced sideways and asked. Although his strength had improved greatly, he was still ridiculously weak compared to the Fire Kirin of the desolate demon realm. If both sides continued like this, even if he didn't become the Fire Kirin's food, he wouldn't be able to complete the bloodline advancement mission. If he could invite strong external help, there might be some hope. If the purple-eyed youth arrived at Shunning City, with the help of the Demon Emperor Guild's hidden forces, there might be a chance to kill the Fire Kirin. Mountain Blocking City? Brother Mi was slightly startled. After carefully deliberating for a moment, he said with uncertainty, "There is indeed a group of people from Mountain Blocking City. However, I don't know where they are stationed. My lord, for you to ask this question, could it be that you have an enemy among those people from Mountain Blocking City? If my lord needs, I can help you find out where the people from Mountain Blocking City are stationed." Update with 220 monthly votes. Chapter 233. That would be troublesome. Lin Yuan opened his mouth and subconsciously added. However, before Lin Yuan could finish his sentence, a surge of pressure fell on Brother Mi. Brother Mi, who was in the airborne realm, was faced with the pressure of a monster in the desolate demon realm. There was no need for him to resist. He immediately froze on the spot, not daring to move. Beads of cold sweat the size of soybeans kept oozing out of his forehead. Fire Kirin's eyes showed no emotion at all. It said in a deep voice, "Black Snake, I can't be bothered with your business, but we are now in the same group. Please think before you do anything. Once this guy is out of our control, he might betray us." Brother Mi's eyes instantly dimmed when he heard Fire Kirin's words. He originally thought that he could take advantage of this opportunity to escape the control of these two terrifying monsters. However, he did not expect that even after he had cooperated to such an extent, the other party still did not let down their guard against him. They did not even think about letting him leave this remote courtyard alive. Only the dead would keep secrets. Do you have any other choice if you don't trust him? Lin Yuan suddenly sneered and opened his mouth to ask, "You've absorbed the life energy, and so have I. Right now, I can clearly feel the stomach acid digesting my tissues to slow down my hunger. I don't believe that you don't feel it at all. Or are you not planning to buy food? You're going to eat me when you can't stand it anymore? Then what are you going to eat after you eat me? Are you going to starve to death here?" Absorbing a large amount of life energy to temper one's body could quickly increase one's strength, but the burden on the body was equally huge. At this moment, although Lin Yuan did not show anything on his face, he was already so hungry that his chest was sticking to his back. He did not know what the Fire Kirin's situation was at the moment, but he guessed that it was not much better than he was. They were both starving. "I can use puppets." Fire Kirin pondered for a moment, then said in a low voice without much confidence. When he entered the city, he was using a puppet. Of course, it wasn't that no one noticed him. However, since the puppet was carrying 2 demon-suppressing pouches, others only thought that it was a puppet used by the Demon-Suppressing Guild to deliver goods. But when they entered the city, they still used the puppet to communicate with others. They also had to purchase large amounts of demonic beast meat and spiritual items to consume. 4 penniless paupers like Fire Kirin and Lin Yuan, even if they tried to rob them, they would still be beaten up by the guards of Shunning City. Don't be silly. If you had chosen to hide in a corner of the Hungduan Mountains, we wouldn't be in this situation where we don't even have a choice. However, you insisted on entering a human city. How long are you going to be stubborn for? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "Leave this human alive." He will take care of everything for us during this period of time. Don't you like making deals? You are the great fire Kirin. Just a little thing that you leak out from between your fingers is enough for this human to work for you. Lin Yuan was once a human as well. He used to live in the dark world. He had a very good grasp of the psychology of people like Brother Mi. It was useless to talk to this kind of person. Only when enough benefits were offered could they be moved. Anyway, humans can never be trusted. Fire Kirin shook its head. It was still firm in its opinion. In the past, it had been schemed against by cunning humans more than once or twice. Therefore, when faced with the choice of whether to let Brother Mi live or not, it still chose to get rid of this hidden danger instead of choosing to trust Brother Mi. It rejected Lin Yuan's suggestion without even discussing it. The despair in Brother Mi's eyes grew stronger. Although he could not see the specific cultivation of these two monsters, the black snake whose scales had turned from pale gold to black was obviously weaker than Fire Kirin in terms of aura. If Fire Kirin was determined to kill him, the black snake would not be able to protect him. Of course, humans can't be trusted. However, I have a way to make him trustworthy. A cold light flashed in Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes. The snake's body flashed and appeared behind Brother Mi in the blink of an eye. The snake, which had shrunk to the size of a normal poisonous snake, opened its mouth and bit Brother Mi's neck. Brother Mi felt a sharp pain in his neck. Following that, a warm current flowed into his body continuously, almost replacing 1/3 of the blood flow in his body. At this moment, Lin Yuan withdrew his poisonous fangs from Brother Mi's body. He glanced at the black rhombus-shaped mark on Brother Mi's neck and nodded in satisfaction. This was the upgraded skill of Dove Wine's poison, Curse Mark Poison. Although the strength of this skill did not continue to increase, nor did it become a bug-level skill that could inexplicably poison the enemy, Curse Mark Poison was still a better skill than Dove Wine's poison. This was because it could be stacked infinitely and could even replace all of the blood in the opponent's body. If Lin Yuan did not take the initiative to trigger the poison, even if Brother Mi's body was filled with Curse Mark Poison, he would still be able to live like a normal person. Brother Mi clutched his neck in pain. His small eyes were filled with doubt. This black snake. Why did it rush up and bite me when it was talking? I've planted poison in this guy's body. With just a thought, the poison will completely explode and enter his heart. After 3 seconds, it will paralyze his heart. When that time comes, even the gods won't be able to save him. Lin Yuan had a smile in his eyes as he said, Fire Qilin, as I said before, just a little thing leaked from between your fingers is enough to make this guy obedient to you. Fire Kirin's eyes turned slightly. After thinking carefully for a moment, its eyes suddenly brightened. It began to understand the black snake's meaning. People like Brother Mi could not be trusted. Not only to demon beasts, but also to humans. This kind of scum would not betray demon beasts for the righteousness of the race or the glory of the dynasty. There was only one reason why he betrayed Fire Kirin and Black Snake: he wanted to escape from the control of these two demon beasts. If he could not escape from this control, he naturally would not use the method of mutual destruction to expose the existence of these two demon beasts to the human experts. Of course, if too much time passed, Brother Mi could still lose control. That was why Black Snake wanted him to give some benefits. In this way, the two sides became some kind of cooperative relationship. Brother Mi received benefits and was restrained. He would definitely not betray them. Even when someone came to investigate, this man who was very popular in the underworld of Shunning City would take the initiative to help cover it up. 240 monthly votes to add more chapters. Chapter 234. The ups and downs of life were nothing more than this. Brother Mi was already prepared to die, but with the Black Snake's help, he actually managed to survive. He even obtained a decent cultivation technique from the Fire Kirin. Compared to this cultivation technique, his original cultivation method was completely trash. However, Brother Mi wasn't grateful to the Black Snake for saving his life. He even felt some hatred in his heart. Brother Mi's mentality was naturally within Lin Yuan's control. After all, This kind of scum who wantonly plundered the wealth of others for a moment of pleasure would never have a sense of gratitude. In terms of kindness, he couldn't compare to the demonic beasts. If it wasn't for Lin Yuan restraining him, he might have betrayed Lin Yuan and the Fire Kirin for more benefits. But in his heart, even if Brother Mi couldn't wait to skin them alive, he still had to cover for them with a smile. Let's go buy a batch of demonic beast flesh and spiritual items first. The Fire Kirin plucked a simple jade ring from the puppet's body and casually tossed it to Brother Mi. It didn't even look at Brother Mi during the whole process, showing a sleepy expression. Brother Mi, on the other hand, was shocked. He hurriedly stood up and caught the jade ring. He rubbed the jade ring in his hand as if it was his lover. His eyes seemed to be glowing. Brother Mi wasn't a professional appraiser, so he didn't know the quality of the jade ring's material. However, the craftsmanship was the work of a top craftsman from the Thousand Swords dynasty 300 years ago. The demon-subduing Master Guild branch he worked for had a similar jade ring. He would take it out and play with it from time to time. However, the jade ring in the hands of the branch president was far inferior to the one in his hand. Apart from its ornamental value, the cold touch of the jade ring on his skin caused his heart to tremble. The agitation and distress in his heart instantly disappeared. Clearly, it had the effect of calming his mind. Suppressing the ecstasy in his heart, Brother Mi quietly kept the jade ring. Although I don't like this jade thumb ring, it is undeniably a treasure. I don't mind if you keep it for yourself, but you have to think about whether your little bit of wealth is enough for the two of us to eat a meal. The Fire Kirin's voice suddenly rang out, completely dispelling Brother Mi's thoughts. With his current wealth, providing a meal for two demonic beasts would probably be enough to bankrupt him. Brother Mi nodded his head and quickly left the remote courtyard. All right, Black Snake. We should talk about the matter between us now. After Brother Mi left, the Fire Kirin turned its head to the Black Snake and said in a deep voice, I regret it now. I shouldn't have pulled you into my Sumeru world. Now that my life force has been absorbed by you, and my Sumeru world has been destroyed because of the strong enemy you provoked, how do you think I should settle this debt with you? Sensing the killing intent surging from the Fire Kirin's body, Lin Yuan didn't reply. His different-colored eyes flickered, making the Fire Kirin unable to see through the Black Snake's thoughts. If the Black Snake was still wrapped in the life force, the Fire Kirin wouldn't hesitate at all and directly devour the life force along with the Black Snake. However, the Black Snake had already finished refining the life force, and its realm was still at the peak of the Wisdom realm. It wasn't a bit more, and it wasn't a bit less. To the Fire Kirin, this was probably the strangest thing. The life force it had poured into the Black Snake wasn't a small amount. Even if it brought a pig here, it would be able to steadily raise it to the Mountain Lord realm, and it might even be able to make a breakthrough. However, since things had already turned out this way, the Fire Kirin could only sigh. After all, devouring a peak Wisdom realm demonic beast wouldn't bring it any benefits. Are you trying to pull me onto your war chariot and help you deal with the Beast Lord Kirin? Lin Yuan's eyes flashed as he suddenly asked. Having its thoughts exposed by the Black Snake, even the Fire Kirin's killing intent couldn't help but stiffen. Originally, when Lin Yuan didn't speak, it felt a bit embarrassed, as if it didn't have any prestige in the Black Snake's eyes. Now that the Black Snake had directly spoken its thoughts, it felt even more humiliated. Stop dreaming. That's impossible. Lin Yuan didn't wait for the Fire Kirin's reply and decisively rejected it. Back then, when the Fire Kirin challenged the Beast Lord Kirin's rule and failed, the demonic beasts lost a part of the demonic beast forest. That was how some human cities were built. For example, the 7 border cities of the Shunwu dynasty had completely stabilized their position at that time. Therefore, from the demonic beast's point of view, the Fire Kirin wasn't a hero, but a sinner. In addition, after that incident, none of the demonic beasts of the Fire Kirin lineage were spared. They were all killed by the Beast Lord Kirin's ruthless methods. Even though the Fire Kirin had made a comeback, it didn't have any followers in the Hungduan mountain range. As for the human side, even if there were people who supported the Fire Kirin back then, those people had either aged or retired after so many years. A lone commander with only the strength of the desolate demon realm still wanted to overthrow the Beast Lord Kirin's rule. Lin Yuan really didn't know whether to say that the Fire Kirin was overthinking or that the Kirin was too stupid. Hey, don't tell me that you don't have any thoughts about ruling the Hungduan mountain range. Black Snake, you have too many secrets. Even I may not be as mysterious as you. How can an existence like you be willing to stay in the periphery of the Hungduan mountain range and be a little beast lord? The Fire Kirin pursed its lips and said slowly with a mocking expression, that reptile has designs on you. At the same time, it also destroyed my Sumeru world. So, sooner or later, I will find trouble with it. In addition, if you want to continue climbing up, naturally there won't be a problem. However, when you reach the top, the Beast Lord Kirin will become your biggest obstacle. Black Snake, we have so many common enemies. If you don't cooperate with me, are you sure you can handle it? Lin Yuan turned his head to the side and didn't have any intention of answering. After all, the Fire Kirin's bloodline had already been listed as a mission target. In addition, in the Sumeru world, Lin Yuan and the Fire Kirin didn't get along very well. So, Lin Yuan only had killing intent for this legendary demon beast that came back to life because of its unwillingness to die. He didn't have any intention of being friendly with it. That kind of fake cooperation, what was the point of it? As for climbing up, Lin Yuan indeed had this idea. The division of power in the Tianwu continent had always been the 7 great empires, the Hungduan mountain range, and the dragon palaces of the 4 seas. Within each of the great empires, there were large and small sects. The land and sea demon clans also had various beast lords and commanders. The records recorded by the three-eyed ape were exactly the same as what Lin Yuan had seen. There are 260 monthly votes for me to update Tilda. Chapter 235. However, at this moment, Lin Yuan's view of this world had already changed. It wasn't the 7 great empires or the 2 great demon clans that were at the top. There seemed to be an even more powerful force hidden in the darkness of this world. For example, the silver coin that Xia Xiyu took out previously, and the 2 great demon clans joining forces with the empires to attack the Shenwu dynasty. All of these were reminders to the world that the true power that controlled this world was someone else. Since he hadn't forgotten about his blood feud because of reincarnation, wouldn't it be a waste if he didn't take revenge? Only by climbing to the top of this world would Lin Yuan have the qualifications to come into contact with those truly powerful existences. Sirs, I'm back. As the courtyard door was gently pushed open, Brother Mi returned to the courtyard with a flushed face. Ding. Congratulations to the host. Mission completed. Great success. Obtained 1 chance to draw a skill. When the system notification rang out, it also reminded Lin Yuan that the Fire Kirin, which had been hanging over his head like a steel knife, had completely let go of its killing intent towards him. Therefore, he was judged to be alive in this mission and had fulfilled the mission's requirements. Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and walked towards the door. An abnormally rich meaty aroma assaulted his nostrils. It was obvious that Brother Mi had also bought some dishes made from the demonic beast's meat when he purchased the demonic beast's meat and the spiritual items. After being processed by humans, these dishes made from the spiritual items were even more delicious than the raw demonic beast's meat. At the same time, it was easier to digest the energy within the demonic beast's meat. Some of the spiritual items could even increase the energy within the demonic beast's meat. However, Lin Yuan was currently stuck at the pinnacle of the wisdom realm. Who knew when the advancement mission would be released? He wasn't interested in the energy within the dishes. Even if he refined it into attribute points, it wouldn't be much. He was more interested in the taste of the food and whether the amount was enough to fill his stomach. Brother Mi was constantly moving in and out of the courtyard, carrying huge sacks into the courtyard. Every time a sack landed on the ground, a huge amount of dust would fly up. Just by listening to the sound, Lin Yuan guessed that every sack here weighed at least 600 pounds. Brother Mi carried nearly 100 sacks in a row, yet he still did not look like he was panting at all. Such a task was naturally nothing difficult for an airborne realm being like him. The only thing that troubled Brother Mi was that the two monsters did not seem to get along well while he was away from the compound. Don't tell me, you want to kill me again? Brother Mi's gaze paused on Huaqirin for a moment. Sensing something, Huaqirin immediately looked back. Brother Mi was so frightened that he immediately took a few steps towards the black snake. His face was filled with lingering fear. His actions seemed to have completely forgotten that this black snake was also a terrifying demonic beast that killed without batting an eyelid. Have you inquired about Mountain Blocking City for me? Lin Yuan took the initiative to ask as he swallowed a piece of fresh meat into his stomach. Brother Mi must have bought the cooked food to reward him. Although Lin Yuan had not eaten food made by humans for a long time, he was sure that the amount of cooked food was definitely not much. Even if he ate all of it, it would only fill his stomach a little. In the end, he would still be unsatisfied. Yes, I've inquired about it. How can I not take Sir's instructions to heart? Brother Mi immediately replied with a smile. He then said in a deep voice, the civilians of Mountain Blocking City are all settled in the north of the city, while their army is settled in the White Dragon Mountain outside the city. I didn't inquire about the details, but I heard that there are two leaders inside. One is called Luo Shu, and the other is called Li Zhongsheng. Luo Shu? Li Zhongsheng? Lin Yuan frowned imperceptibly. He did not know the name of the purple-eyed youth, but he was sure that the purple-eyed youth's desire for power was incomparably strong. Otherwise, he would not have agreed to Lin Yuan's plan to destroy Mountain Blocking City. It was all for the sake of wiping out all the forces that might stand in his way so that he could completely take over Mountain Blocking City. Logically speaking, it was impossible for there to be two leaders in Mountain Blocking City. Either the purple-eyed youth did not come at all, or he had chosen to bring up the rear. Luo Shu and Li Zhongsheng were both his right-hand men, and they had only brought their men here in advance to meet up with him. So that's how it is, Lin Yuan muttered softly. With his intelligence, it was not difficult for him to guess that the purple-eyed youth was not either of the two. At the same time, he could also guess what the purple-eyed youth was busy with at this moment. The Shunwu dynasty undoubtedly attached great importance to the reconstruction of Mountain Blocking City. Almost immediately after the city construction plan was completed, they had sent out a supply team to transport the materials to the designated location. Now that the Hengduan mountain range's demon beasts had attacked, Mountain Blocking City was definitely still in a state of being under construction. There were still a lot of materials that had not been used. The purple-eyed youth should be planning to send all these materials to the Stoneclaw Forest ruled by Lin Yuan, so as to avoid being destroyed by the demon beast tide. At the same time, at the periphery of the Stoneclaw Forest, Lei Yifan stretched his back lazily, a relaxed smile hanging on his face. With the black serpent as his trump card, the monstrous beasts of the Stoneclaw Forest would not be able to keep his materials for themselves. With this, when the beast tide was over, he would be able to quickly establish the Mountain Blocking City. As for the other 6 cities, that would be another story. Previously, the 6 border cities were all laughing at him for being the newly appointed city lord who was tasked to rebuild Mountain Blocking City in the face of danger. But after this battle, at least 6 of the 7 border cities would have to be rebuilt. When that time comes, it would be hard to say who would be the one laughing at whom. Leading a few of his personal guards, Lei Yifan carefully walked along the path they came from, not daring to make any movements that would attract the demon beast's attention. After all, this was the demon beast's main camp. Once the demon beasts gathered here, even if they were elites who had been through hundreds of battles, they would still be defeated. Sigh 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 sigh. A strange sound rang out. Lei Yifan subconsciously raised his hand, and the personal guards beside him also stopped in their tracks. A moment later, a black cat that was not even at the spirit awakening realm flashed before their eyes. Lei Yifan heaved a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not a demonic beast. Otherwise, they would have died here today. Before he could relax, Lei Yifan's face suddenly turned serious, and he subconsciously drew out the battle saber at his waist. This place was the depths of the demon beast forest, and it was an area that had just left the Stoneclaw Forest. The demon beasts that appeared here were at least at the 7th to 8th level of the spirit awakening realm. Why would a wild beast, a black cat, suddenly appear in this place? Update with 280 monthly votes tilde. Chapter 236. Young Master. The leader of the personal guards frowned. When he saw Lei Fan draw his sword, he had already prepared himself for battle and had even planned to sacrifice himself to delay the attack of the monstrous beasts to allow Lei Fan to retreat. But even after 2 to 3 minutes, there were still no signs of abnormalities. The only strange thing was that the strange black cat had not left but had instead squatted down on the spot, sizing up the humans, its eyes filled with the arrogance and coldness of a feline. Prepare for battle. Lei Fan licked his lips, his voice a little hoarse. These personal guards were brave and loyal, but they were all newly transferred from the family clan and had no experience in battling against monstrous beasts. Although they had assumed a battle stance, they could not understand how the appearance of a wild beast could scare Lei Fan to such an extent. Hehe, it's actually humans. At this time, you still dare to enter the Hungduan Mountains? Following a burst of laughter that sounded like silver bells, Lei Fan's personal guards immediately felt goosebumps rise on their backs. Humans would never use the word human to refer to their own kind. So the owner of this voice, even if it was not a monstrous beast, it was a demi-human, and a demi-human that was close to the monstrous beast. Sire, can you come out for a chat? Lei Fan held his sword in a reverse grip and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, his heartbeat quickening. The other party had not immediately summoned the monstrous beasts nearby to surround and kill them and had even shown interest. Lei Fan was already rejoicing that he had survived a calamity. After all, with all these factors added together, it meant that the other party did not have any enmity towards them but was just a little curious. A fair and sparkling bare foot stepped onto a patch of grass. In the next moment, a woman in revealing clothes slowly appeared before the eyes of Lei Fan and the others. She was wearing a red and white witch robe, but it didn't give off any sense of holiness that a divine servant should have. Instead, it gave off an indescribably seductive aura. The seductive aura came from the fact that her figure was far too perfect, so perfect that any man would be charmed by it. However, the seductive aura came from the fact that this woman's brain didn't belong to a human's. It was the head of a fox, covered with fine white fur. Only in the middle of her brows was a red mark that looked like a flame, adding a sense of mystery to her bewitchment. Demi-human. One of the personal guards swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and the vigilance in his heart relaxed a little. Demi-humans were a mix of humans and demon beasts. Some demi-humans were more inclined towards demon beasts, while others were more inclined towards humans. When encountering a demi-human in the wild, no one could say for sure which side the other party was on. Vixen, Kagura. Lei Fan's face was solemn as he slowly called out his opponent's name. His left hand, which was holding the saber in reverse, was trembling slightly. If he hadn't seen the other party's appearance, he would have thought that the other party was an ignorant demi-human. But at this moment, all that was left in Lei Fan's heart was fear. A Heaven Dipper realm cultivator was no less cunning than a human. This vixen, who was named Kagura, was a disciple of a deity temple at the borders of the Shunwu dynasty who worshipped the guardian deity. But when Kagura was 17 years old, because of her identity as a demi-human, she missed the opportunity to be a witch in the deity temple. From under her mask of innocence and kindness, a devil was released. On the night of the witch selection, Kagura had spiked the entire deity temple's celebratory wine with quite a large dose of knockout powder. Then she had personally slaughtered her teachers who had taught her, and her classmates who had studied with her. Especially the young human girl who had been chosen as the new witch. It was said that when she was discovered, her original appearance was unrecognizable. From then on, the name of the vixen Kagura spread throughout the Hungduan Mountains. Be it a normal person or a demon slayer master, as long as they were caught by Kagura, they would not have a good ending. She had once yearned to join the human dynasty, and wanted to blend into the human race. But reality had given her a resounding slap. So, she was now a lunatic who hated humans to the core. Oh! Little big brother, you actually know me. Kagura's sweet voice seemed to ring right beside their ears. Every single word that came out of her mouth was like a soft little tongue licking their earlobes, causing their hearts to itch. Many of the personal guards' eyes showed a dazed look, and even Lei Fan, after the initial bout of tolerance, fell into a daze, as if he had just seen a goddess in his dreams. He took the initiative to let down all his guard as he walked towards Kagura. Wake up! A low roar rang out right beside their ears. Lei Fan and the entire group of personal guards were jolted awake, and all of them looked at Kagura in horror. Especially the leader of the personal guards, as he looked at Kagura who was just inches away from him, and then looked at the other party's sharp fingernails which were already touching his throat, and the terror in his eyes grew more intense. Kagura, they are the Demon Emperor's subordinates, and are our own people. Huan Yu's figure slowly walked out from the shrubbery, almost blending into the pitch-black shadows. A pair of apathetic eyes fell upon Kagura, his eyes filled with helplessness. In the period that the Black Snake was not around, the Stoneclaw Forest and the Demon Emperor's Association were in a state of chaos. If it was just a small matter, then so be it. But if Lei Fan were to die at the hands of Kagura, based on the Black Snake's character, how could he possibly let the vixen Kagura off so easily? Although Huan Yu did not know the Black Snake's plans, but he could guess that this newly appointed city lord of the mountain-blocking city, in the eyes of the Black Snake, was no doubt an extremely important pawn. Kagura pursed her lips and did not reply, but silently retracted her fingernails. Although the mysterious Demon Emperor was nowhere to be found, but when he was active, he had indeed left behind many legends. Even among the members of the Demon Emperor's Association who were driven by their own interests, many of them believed that the Black Snake was indeed the reincarnation of the ancient Demon Emperor, or a product of possession, and that he might really be able to lead them to a path of glory in the future. Kagura, who had once believed in the gods, was one of those people. Compared to the human empire that she had once yearned for, Kagura now hoped to see an ancient demon court that spanned across the entire Tianwu continent, and even the Four Seas. She couldn't wait to join them. She couldn't wait to become a famous deity in the demon court. Leave quickly. Count yourselves lucky this time. If you were to bump into other demi-humans or demonic beasts the next time, I will not save you again. Looking at Kagura who was playing with the little black cat in her arms, Huan Yu turned his gaze towards Lei Fan helplessly. Lei Fan nodded his head heavily, and without stopping for a moment, he immediately led his personal guards and sped towards the outskirts of the demonic beast forest. The Hungduan mountain range was now filled with an oppressive aura, and even the demonic beast forest which had posed no threat to him in the past, was now like a cold meat grinder. Those demon slayers who had stayed in the Hungduan mountain range had all been called out, and more demonic beasts had joined in the search. Every second they stayed in this place was an additional threat. Chapter 237. 3 days later. The military encampment in Shunning City. Li Zhongsheng supported himself with both hands beside the sand table. His sharp eyes were like an eagle's as he looked back and forth. The beast tide did not charge into Shunning City in one go. They just wandered around Shunning City, as if waiting for something. The war took a long time to come, so Li Zhongsheng spent every day in the camp simulating the scenes of the war in various places. However, Li Zhongsheng felt more and more bitter when he simulated the war based on the information that was passed between Dynasty's insiders. The Mirror Frost Dynasty's cavalry and the Azure River Dynasty's crossbow formations were able to suppress the Shunwu Dynasty's heavy armor warriors while maintaining an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. Therefore, the Shunwu Dynasty's chances of winning the war against the two dynasties were not very optimistic. At the very least, before reinforcements arrived, the Shunwu dynasty would continue to lose their cities and territories. As for the war between the south and the dragon tribe of the Four Seas, it was even more tragic. Because the land in the south was fertile and close to the sea, they could trade at any time. Therefore, it was considered the richest region of the Shunwu dynasty. Under the prosperous economy, life in the south was extremely decadent. Most of the commanders came from big families and were idiots with no actual combat experience. Some of the castellans had long been blinded by glory and wealth. With such a combination, How could they defend the territory of the Shunwu dynasty in the face of the attack of the dragon tribe of the Four Seas? The war on the other three fronts was not optimistic. This also meant that they would not receive any reinforcements in a short period of time. Li Zhongxing rubbed his forehead and shook his head in distress. His eyes fell on Luo Shu, who was holding a roll of bamboo slips and reading with great interest at the entrance of the encampment. He could not help but reveal some doubts in his eyes. This man seemed to be not worried about anything, whether it was the upcoming war or the situation on the other fronts. However, Li Zhongxing could not help but admire this man's sharp eyes and clear thinking. If it were not for Luo Shu's suggestions from time to time, they would have lost at least 1/3 of their troops to reach Shunning City. It would be impossible to maintain a nearly full force. As if he felt Li Zhongxing's gaze, Luo Shu slowly turned his head and looked at Li Zhongxing. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, outlining a faint smile. He asked, "Are you worried that the Shunwu dynasty will choose to give up the battle in the Hengduan Mountains because the other fronts are unfavorable?" Li Zhongxing nodded slowly after being seen through by Luo Shu. The doubts in his eyes were heavier. This man obviously knew everything. How could he still be so indifferent? Luo Shu put down the bamboo slips in his hand, stood up and stretched his body. He said in a deep voice, "The Shunwu dynasty is far weaker than the Wanjian dynasty in terms of national strength. If they start a war with the four major powers at the same time, they will die sooner or later. Therefore, although the Emperor God advocates war, it does not mean that he will definitely finish the war. If the Qingjiang dynasty and the Shuangjian dynasty break the bottom line of the Emperor God's heart and continue to march, the Emperor God, who is known for his decisiveness, will give up everything, lead his family and confidants into the Hengduan Mountains to hide, and become a force like the surviving members of the Jiao family. That's impossible, right?" This was too exciting. All of them were thinking about how to fight the war and how to win it. However, the Emperor God, who had been fighting wars for half of his life, was already thinking about how to retreat. Nothing is impossible. If that day really comes, the power structure of the continent will be completely broken. By then, no dynasty will dare to say that they will be the final winner. Therefore, even if the Shunwu dynasty is destroyed, the bloodline of the royal family will still be preserved. If they can establish a connection with the monster palace like the surviving members of the Jiao family, these bloodline of the royal family will have a chance to restore the country. Even if they fail, they can still live a carefree life in their old age. The beast tide in the Hengduan Mountains has been wandering around Shunning City, but they have never launched a general attack. What do you think they are waiting for? They are just waiting for the beast Lord Kirin to negotiate with the Emperor God. For the current Shunwu dynasty, the Hengduan Mountains can provide them with a suitable gathering place. Even if they want to continue hiding in the original Shunwu dynasty's territory, they can also obtain a steady stream of spiritual resources from the Hengduan Mountains. For the Hengduan Mountains, no matter if it is the surviving members of the Jiao family or the Lei royal family, they can help them contain the new power. They don't need to invest too many high-level monsters to guard this place. This is a win-win deal for both sides. Luo Shu took a deep breath, and his eyes were filled with wisdom. After he finished speaking, the tent suddenly fell into silence. "Commander, I have something to report." Not long after the two of them fell silent, Adjutant Zhong opened the tent door and strode in. He glanced at the two of them and said expressionlessly, "I just received news that someone has been asking about us. I've already sent people over, but they haven't caught anyone, so I'm not too sure about the specific situation." "Asking about us?" Luo Shu and Li Zhongxing were slightly startled. After exchanging a glance, they saw the doubt in each other's eyes. Although the strength of the mountain-blocking city's army was the best preserved among the 6 border cities, compared to the other veteran cities that had taken root at the border for many years, the newly built mountain-blocking city with only one Shenlinjun's reserve troop was obviously not enough. In this camp that was given to them to rest, mountain-blocking city should be the most inconspicuous one. Luo Shu was seriously injured, and his face and skin were burned by the inferno of hell. It could be said that he had changed his appearance completely. Other than Lei Fan, no one knew his true identity, so it was impossible for him to have any enemies. As for Li Zhongxing and the others, it was even more impossible for them to have any enemies. They were originally training in the imperial capital, and this time, they had hurriedly rushed to the north after receiving orders from the higher-ups. Not to mention enemies, they didn't even know anyone here. You did have someone asking about us. Could it be that you're mistaken? Li Zhongxing frowned slightly and took the initiative to ask. Although the beast tide had not directly pressed against them, the Emperor God had never liked to speak softly. If the negotiations between him and the beast Lord Kirin fell apart, a war could break out at any time. At this time, if there were still people from the inside who had their eyes on them, they wouldn't even know how they died. I'm sure it's true. Adjutant Zhong nodded and said in a deep voice, the news was leaked to me by a mercenary from the Merchant Union. The person who asked about us is surnamed Mi, and has used many aliases. He makes a living by robbing people in Shunning City. He's a bastard with a notorious record, but he's very famous. All the local ruffians around Shunning City have to call him Brother Mi. Chapter 238. Li Zhongxing narrowed his eyes slightly and made a nasal sound of doubt. Why would a gangster want to know about them? Vice Commander Zhong was silent for a moment before he spoke again. Strictly speaking, this Brother Mi is not asking about us. He seems to be here for the city lord. Every time he asks about us, he is asking if there is a young man with purple pupils who has reported to our camp. Interesting. Let's find a chance to meet this Brother Mi. Luo Shu licked his lips and a cold glint flashed across his eyes. His past identity was already a dead man, and it was said that he had even been conferred the title of hero by the divine martial dynasty. Now, if he still wanted to continue living on this mainland, he would need to think of a way to get himself a legal identity. If these people who were hiding in the shadows wanted to deal with Lei Fan, then they would be forcing him into a dead end. How do we meet him? This guy is as smart as a monkey. Vice Commander Zhong said awkwardly. Every time my men followed him, they would be shaken off within 2 streets. It would be too difficult to capture him by force. Both of you know that the city lord of Shunning City is very disgusted with soldiers like us entering the city. We have to go through a lot of procedures to enter the city. If we were to fight with this Brother Mi in the city, the sky would fall down. The city lord of Shunning City seemed to be a man with a strong desire for power. He could accept all refugees into Shunning City. But he would rather set up a temporary camp near Shunning City for the soldiers from the other 6 cities than let them enter the city to assist in the defense. It was as if he was afraid that these people from the other 6 cities would seize his power. Brother, you and Li Zhongxing are good at everything. Young, courageous, and quick-witted. These words are not a problem for the 2 of you. However, you must know that the biggest problem for the 2 of you is that you are too young. You lack the experience to deal with all kinds of unexpected situations. Luo Shu patted Vice Commander Zhong on the shoulder and sneered, when did I say we were going to enter the city to look for him? Didn't he want to know about the Castellan? Go back and find a reliable mercenary and ask him to spread the news that the Castellan is near Shunning City. Then arrange a job for the mercenary. If Brother Mi wants to take the bait, he will come directly to the camp outside the city. Deputy Zhong had sent men to capture Brother Mi a few times before, but they were all shaken off. Although Brother Mi wasn't sure if this person was his enemy or someone from Mountain Blocking City, he would definitely act more cautiously. The place where they would meet next time would definitely be more concealed. Brother Mi would also set up more escape routes. Therefore, if he wanted to capture this person who was secretly gathering information about them, he would have to use an overt scheme to eliminate all of the other party's advantages. If he still wanted to know more about Lei Fan, even if he had guessed that this was a trap, he had no choice but to come. If Brother Mi did not come, it meant that Deputy Zhong was investigating in the wrong direction. Brother Mi was not worth his attention. The next morning, in a secluded courtyard in Shunning City, Brother Mi shook his head with a mournful face and said in a low voice, Lord Black Snake, please don't force me. Previously, when I was gathering information about that purple-eyed youth, I was targeted more than once. If I wasn't familiar with the streets and alleys of Shunning City, I would have been captured long ago. This time, the other party has set the meeting place outside the city. If there is even the slightest mistake, I will be dead. You know that if you meet him outside the city, the slightest mistake will mean death. Then don't you know that if you don't meet him, you will die immediately? Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes narrowed slightly, staring straight at Brother Mi's face. As time passed, the number of beasts gathered near Shunning City increased. The Fire Kirin would definitely not stay here and wait for the beasts to breach Shunning City. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not have much time left. He had to kill the Fire Kirin before Shunning City was breached and seize the bloodline power in the Fire Kirin. Brother Mi stammered for a long time, unable to say a word. How could he not know that if he disobeyed the Black Snake's order, the poison in his body could erupt at any time? Currently, nearly 2/3 of his blood was extremely hot, as if it had been infected by the Black Snake's poison. Once the Black Snake had a thought, he would die on the spot. Let me ask you, are you going or not? Lin Yuan meandered to Brother Mi and coiled his body in front of him. His eyes revealed a trace of coldness. I'll go. Brother Mi gritted his teeth and nodded his head heavily. Even if this was really a trap set by the mountain blocking city, they would not kill him immediately after capturing him. Instead, they would interrogate him about the person behind him. By then, he would still have some leeway. However, if he rejected the Black Snake's order, he would die immediately from the poison. Smack. Smack. Lin Yuan patted Brother Mi's shoulder with his snake tail and said with a smile, if this is really a trap set by the mountain blocking city, don't say a word after you're captured. At the very least, don't say anything before you meet the purple-eyed youth. You might suffer a little, but I'll think of a way to compensate you. Hold on until the purple-eyed youth participates in your interrogation. Then, you can vaguely remind him of my existence when no one else is aware of it. I guarantee that you'll be fine. Brother Mi's face was still filled with bitterness. However, amidst his bitterness, he was also pondering over the identity of this purple-eyed youth. Li Zhongsheng was in charge of the entire mountain-blocking city's garrison army. Meanwhile, the Merchants Association and the Demon Subduing Masters Association were under Luo Shu's control. Brother Mi's actions this time were directly confronting these two. Why was the Black Snake so certain that he would be safe once the purple-eyed youth appeared? Could it be trying to trick him? Brother Mi did not consider the existence of a city lord above Luo Shu and Li Zhongsheng. After all, the city lords of the northern frontier were mortal enemies with the demon beasts. There was no personal relationship to speak of. After Brother Mi left, Lin Yuan suppressed his body to the smallest size possible and quietly left the courtyard. He then headed towards a small tavern that was similarly located in an extremely remote location. During this period of time, Fire Kirin had been busy with something. Normally, it would stay in the demon-subduing pouch carried by the puppet and would only return to the courtyard to rest when dawn approached. Lin Yuan guessed that Fire Kirin should be preparing the necessary procedures and resources to head to the next human city. Therefore, it forced Brother Mi to meet with the mercenary who spread the news. Who knew when the Fire Kirin would sneak away without making a sound? Chapter 239. In a rundown tavern in Shunning City. Shedong was the owner of this rundown tavern. He also worked as a waiter, bartender, and receptionist. His wife was in charge of the entire kitchen. Other than that, there were no other employees in the tavern. In the early years, this rundown tavern actually had its glory days. Shedong's father had once developed a sweet and delicious wine recipe, which made him famous in Shunning City for a time. He had earned a lot of wealth, until some people were jealous. These people used all kinds of underhanded means to attack Shedong's father. When no customers dared to come to the tavern, they even slandered Shedong's father for murder and hiding the body. It was said that there was someone with a high status in the city lord's office behind them. In the end, the tavern was closed down, and even Shedong's father was forcibly imprisoned. These people naturally wouldn't ask about something that didn't exist, so they skipped the murder and hiding the body and began to ask Shedong's father for the recipe of the wine. After several rounds of torture, Shedong's father, who had been doing this for most of his life, begged for mercy and told them the recipe. After that, Shedong's father was forcibly convicted and executed. Shedong's mother was implicated and exiled. Even Shedong's brothers and sisters couldn't escape the fate. Only Shedong, who was studying in the imperial capital at the time, managed to escape. Shedong was now 30 years old and was in the airborne realm. He had his own family and bought the tavern in the name of a foreign merchant. In reality, however, Shedong hated the rich merchants of Shunning City and the existence of the city lord's office to the extreme. After the association of the Demon Emperor made a name for itself in Jianshan City, Shedong directly announced that he had joined the association of the Demon Emperor. No matter what name or identity one used, as long as one said that one was a member of the association of the Demon Emperor, it would be fine. The association of the Demon Emperor would not interfere with one's personal actions. Instead, they would provide one with material support on a regular basis. Even the missions given to one were up to one's own will. If one didn't want to carry out a mission, one could choose not to participate. At present, Shedong's tavern had become one of the secret contact points of the association of the Demon Emperor. Members of the association of the Demon Emperor would choose to trade some special goods or information there. Occasionally, some black market merchants would appear there, buying goods that were difficult for ordinary people to sell at low prices. Knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door of the tavern. Shedong stepped forward and opened the door. The next moment, his hair stood on end. The black snake's little snake was coiled outside the door, almost blending into the night. If it wasn't for the light in the tavern, Shedong would have thought that someone was playing a prank. You are. Shedong's panic only lasted for a moment. After all, an ordinary poisonous snake did not have much intelligence. At the very least, it would not choose to knock on the door in the middle of the night and wait for its owner to open the door before suddenly attacking. Therefore, this black snake could only be a demonic beast. Reflect, green, grass, spring, color. Lin Yuan stared at Shedong and said the secret code word by word. Shedong's expression turned solemn as he replied in a low voice, "The yellow oriole's voice is so melodious. Please come in." There were very few monsters among the members of the association of the Demon Emperor. Most of them were humans who were dissatisfied with the Shunwu dynasty, or demi-humans who had been oppressed by humans for many years. Therefore, Shedong instantly became serious when he heard the Black Snake's street code. Because in the rumors of the association of the Demon Emperor, the existence who called himself the Demon Emperor was actually a black snake. Shudong should have told you about my existence, right? Let's get to know each other first. You can call me Yuan, or you can call me the Demon Emperor. Anyway, it's just a code name. It won't affect our conversation. Lin Yuan opened his mouth and revealed a smile, but it looked a little ferocious. Sir Demon Emperor, please. When Shedong closed the door, he had already activated the soundproof array, so he was not worried about being eavesdropped. Lin Yuan shook his head and said, "No need. I will leave soon. I just have 2 missions that I want to post here. Is it convenient? Please say." Shedong's eyes flashed with excitement. The association of the Demon Emperor, which gave the Shunwu dynasty a headache, was supported by the black snake in front of him. All the previous missions were rewards between the members of the association of the Demon Emperor, or notifications from the headquarters. This was the first time that the Demon Emperor had personally issued an order. Shedong had a hunch that this would be a big deal, but he was not worried about not being able to complete it. After all, the population of the 7 border cities were all gathered here. Except for the demi-humans scattered in the monster's territory, it could be said that the Demon Emperor's forces were concentrated in Shunning City. If the mission could not be completed, then there was no need for the Demon Emperor to come. However, Shedong was very curious about how big the mission would be if the famous Demon Emperor personally issued the mission. The first mission, I encountered the fire Kirin some time ago. Now, its strength is probably just at the level of the desolate demon realm. If it is arranged properly, we have a chance to kill it. I need your help to complete this mission. Whoever assists in killing the Fire Kirin this time, I can promise you an Earth-class upgrade physique training skill. The second mission, if I take action against the Fire Kirin, I need someone to create chaos in Shunning City to delay the arrival of the Shunning City Garrison Corps to the battlefield, giving us a chance to retreat. The reward for this mission is not very generous, but the participants will automatically double the amount of spiritual items they can obtain this season. Lin Yuan stated his intention with an expressionless face. Hiss. Shadong sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at the black snake in front of him in disbelief. The reward for the second mission was indeed not very generous, but that was only when it was given to an individual. It might not be a huge amount of wealth, but if this wealth was taken out by a single person, that terrifying amount was enough to make anyone feel shocked. The reward for the first mission could be called a sky-high reward. What was the concept of an Earth-class upper-grade physique training skill? At that time, the top sects only had Earth-class upper-grade physique training skills. Only legendary figures could have Earth-class upper-grade or even Heaven-class physique training skills. Suddenly, Shadong felt that the black snake in front of him, who casually took out an Earth-class upper-grade physique training skill, might really be the reincarnation of the legendary Demon Emperor. Moreover, the Earth-class upper-grade physique training skill was just a bonus. The physique training skill was the real key. The biggest weakness of humans compared to demonic beasts was that before the Heavengang realm, their bodies were too weak. After the Heavengang realm, the competition depended on their own means. No matter how strong the body was, it was only used to withstand damage and could not be used as the main output. However, a physique training skill was enough to change the situation of the human body being inferior to demonic beast. Chapter 240. There were almost no thwart training techniques circulating in the market. Most of the thwart training techniques in the sects were not top-notch either. At best, they could fight against demonic beasts. However, it would be a fool's dream to fight against demonic beasts bare-chested. After all, in the later stages of cultivation, the enhancement of physique would become smaller and smaller. Naturally, no one would calm down and study thwart training techniques. However, no one could deny that not everyone had the aptitude to enter the Heaven realm. For example, the Jiao clan of the Wanjian dynasty. Ever since the Heaven realm emperor, Jiao Xinghai, disappeared, the Jiao clan no longer had any capable figures. An upper-grade Earth-class thwart training technique was enough to drive 90% of the cultivators crazy. That's it, I'll take my leave first. If I want to fight against the Fire Kirin, I'll show my true body. By then, those who want to participate in the mission can come and support me directly. Lin Yuan nodded at Shadong. Seeing the latter open the door, he disappeared into the darkness once again. Looking at the direction where the black snake disappeared, Shadong was in a daze. The sky of the northern frontier was about to change. The Demon Emperor Association was now an underground organization that could not see the light of day. When the Black Snake and the Fire Kirin fought in Shunning City, the Demon Emperor Association would also assist the demonic beasts outside to destroy the defense of Shunning City. From then on, the name of this organization would become the nightmare of the entire Shunwu dynasty. At the same time, outside Shunning City, more than 30 beast kings, including Bai Lu and King Kong, were gathered here. All of them stared at the human who led them here with burning eyes. They were all secretly thinking about how to tear this guy apart. Although Bai Lu and King Kong did not want to start a war at this time, they still had not recovered their strength. However, they could not resist the will of the Beast King court. Even the Stoneclaw Forest had sent many demonic beasts to participate in the war. However, the Black Snake, as the Beast King, was nowhere to be found. Actually, from another perspective, it was not a bad idea to start a war with the humans at this time. After all, the Hungduan mountain range was in a state of panic. The demonic beasts that defeated the mountain blocking city were greatly weakened. They might be stabbed in the back by other beast kings at any time. Beast kings, I did not summon you here with any hostility. The human who was surrounded by the beast kings did not show any fear. He just smiled and said, 3 days ago, we took control of the city wall of Shunning City. Once you launch an attack, We will immediately take down the city wall and open the city gate to let you in. I am just following the president's order to inform the Beast Kings. A tiger-type Beast King took a step forward. His aura was like that of the king of all beasts coming out of the mountains. He said in a deep voice, "Interesting. The defense of Shunning City is impregnable. Even if we wanted to take it down, we would have to pay a heavy price. You are just a human. Why are you helping us instead of staying in Shunning City? You must be the Winged Tiger King. I've heard a lot about you." The human glanced at the Tiger King's appearance and immediately exposed its identity. He said in a deep voice, "Tiger King, you must not know about us, right? Let me introduce myself. I am Li Hao of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Our entire organization is filled with people who are dissatisfied with the Shunwu dynasty. If there is a chance to overthrow the Shunwu dynasty, we will do it even if we have to give up everything. I think you have already felt this." The Beast Kings were silent. If the human in front of him was not a lunatic, then what he said was true. After all, not everyone had the courage to leave the safety of Shunning City or the campsite outside the city, and run to an area where demonic beasts ran rampant and attract all the Beast Kings here. Whether it was strength or courage, the requirements were very strict. Association of the Demon Emperor. I have heard of it. A white fox with smooth fur stretched and said lazily, "I heard that it was created by a Beast King in our Hungduan Mountains. However, the Beast King, Chalene, has been investigating who this Beast King is. After all, not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry is qualified to call themselves the Demon Emperor." After a short pause, the white fox's killing intent had reached its peak. As a follower of the Beast King Kirin, although the white fox's strength was not ranked in the depth of the Hungduan mountain range, it did not affect its loyalty to the Beast King Kirin. In its opinion, even the Beast King Kirin did not call himself the Demon Emperor. How could a mere Beast King have the courage to do so? Feeling the shocking killing intent from the white fox, Li Hao just narrowed his eyes and said, "Hehe, even I, a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor, don't know what the real identity of the Demon Emperor is. How can you find out? Anyway, I have already delivered the message. What you do is your own business. Anyway, when you launch the attack, we will seize the city for you and let you enter the city. It has nothing to do with our positions. At least, we are still reliable allies in dealing with the Shunwu dynasty." After saying that, Li Hao slowly retreated. After retreating 100 meters, he quickly left. He did not give the Beast Kings a chance to ask or refute. His speed was so fast that it was shocking. If it was any other time, Li Hao wouldn't mind chatting with these Beast Kings. However, with the existence of the white fox, Li Hao felt that if he didn't leave now, he might be detained and interrogated about the identity of the Demon Emperor. Although the establishment of the Association of the Demon Emperor was made up by Lin Yuan on a whim, today's Association of the Demon Emperor had reached a certain scale. It could even be considered a first-rate force in the northern frontier of the Shunwu dynasty. Lin Yuan had to be careful. After all, the title of Demon Emperor directly overshadowed the title of Beast King. After the Fire Kirin's failure, no one dared to challenge the authority of the Beast King Kirin. Before he had enough strength, Lin Yuan also did not want to directly confront the Beast King Kirin. Therefore, only the earliest batch of members of the Association of the Demon Emperor knew of Lin Yuan's identity. Only after being selected would they have the opportunity to come into contact with Lin Yuan. "I don't think this human is trustworthy." King Kong crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked coldly in the direction where Li Hao disappeared. The defense of Shunning City is actually not difficult to break through. The tricky part is the human allied forces that are exposed in the wild. If we are attacked by the human allied forces when we enter the city, and the road in front is blocked by the army of Shunning City, even if we can break through, we will have to pay a bloody price. This is something that neither the palace nor we can accept. Then, should we attack the human allied forces in the wild first? A lizard beast king carefully probed. Bai Lu, who was on the same side as King Kong, immediately glanced at the lizard beast king and said coldly, "Do you think those cannons and ballistae on the city walls of Shunning City are just decorations? Or are you and your subordinates able to withstand the artillery fire of Shunning City and fight those humans? Chapter 241. Mountain Blocking City's Military Encampment. Brother Mi, whose face was filled with nervousness, slowly walked forward with his hands in his pockets. Although he guessed that there was an 80% chance that the news was a trap, Brother Mi did not make any preparations. After all, he was already in someone else's territory. If Mountain Blocking City really wanted to take him down, he would not be able to escape even if he grew wings. Thus, he did not have to waste any effort. Old Mi, over here. A middle-aged man in dark green uniform waved his hand at Brother Mi. At the same time, he surveyed the surroundings as if he was worried that someone would jump out and cause trouble. Seeing the other party's actions, Brother Mi felt a little more at ease. Similarly, he cautiously walked toward the other party. Brother Zhao, you said before. Brother Mi took the initiative to ask the middle-aged man when he arrived in front of him. However, before he could finish his sentence, he heard a crackling sound and his vision instantly turned blurry. I'm sorry, old Mi. It's all for the sake of living. Brother Zhao looked apologetically at Brother Mi, who was in a daze, and mumbled softly. When Brother Mi woke up again, he realized that he was already in a tent filled with miscellaneous items. His face could not help but reveal a look of despair. He raised his head and let out a long sigh. He should not have listened to that black snake. Now that he had entered the tiger's den, he was completely out of options. Oh, you're awake. Your physical quality is not bad. A somewhat frivolous voice rang out. Soon after, a man whose entire body was wrapped in bandages slowly appeared in his field of vision. The man walked toward him naturally, then casually pulled a chair over and sat down. He crossed his arms and coldly looked at Brother Mi, who was sitting across from him. In a cold voice, he said, Brother Mi, this is the first time we've met. As for whether it's the last time, it all depends on whether you cooperate or not. I heard that you've been inquiring about our mountain blocking city recently. Now that I'm sitting across from you, what do you want to ask? I'll answer you. Brother Mi could not see the appearance of the bandaged man. However, the other party's exposed eyes emitted a mountain-like pressure. When they landed lightly on his body, it brought him endless pressure. Brother Mi's lips moved. He subconsciously wanted to open his mouth to reply. However, in the next moment, Brother Mi forcibly stopped this impulse and only silently looked at the bandaged man. What could this bandaged man do to him? He was just torturing him and forcing him to reveal his purpose. If he had listened to the black snake's words and gritted his teeth, there would naturally be no problem. However, if he were to open his mouth and say something he shouldn't, he would immediately die in the camp of Mountain Blocking City. There might not even be anyone to collect his corpse. Bang! Bang! Just as Brother Mi was thinking about his gains and losses, 2 waves of intense pain came from his abdomen. His stomach churned and he almost vomited after being hit by the bandaged man. Hiss, he. Brother Mi sucked in a breath of cold air and slowly recovered from the intense pain. He raised his head once again and his gaze fell upon the bandaged man who had his hands on his head. The bandaged man narrowed his eyes slightly and said in a deep voice, "This is getting interesting. I like tough bones. Prying open the stubborn teeth of people like you will give me a great sense of accomplishment." As he spoke, an undetectable ruthlessness and viciousness flashed across the bandaged man's eyes. He looked at Brother Mi, who was stubbornly holding on, without any shame or disappointment. On the contrary, the bandaged man was rather excited. At night. There was still a long way to go. 20 minutes later. Lin Yuan, who was lurking outside the camp of the Human Alliance army, narrowed his eyes slightly. Naturally, he would not blindly watch Brother Mi enter the mountain blocking city's encampment. Through Shedong, he had contacted a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor, who was ostensibly a mercenary, to monitor Brother Mi's every move. Now that the time was up, the agreed signal had yet to appear. Therefore, Lin Yuan had already guessed that Brother Mi had been captured by the people of Mountain Blocking City. Damn it, why isn't he back yet? Lin Yuan's face slightly stiffened as he cursed in a low voice. If the purple-eyed youth was still in the mountain-blocking city's encampment, the other party would definitely not capture Brother Mi. Even if they did, they would find a way to release him. The current situation could only mean that the people of mountain-blocking city wanted to uncover Lin Yuan, who had been secretly digging for information about them, and were prepared to eliminate him at any time. After pondering for a moment, a cold glint flashed across Lin Yuan's eyes, and his heart grew colder. He did not know whether Brother Mi's bones were tough or not, but he knew that no matter how strong a person's will was, as long as he was continuously tortured to extort a confession, his psychological defense would collapse sooner or later. He and the Fire Kirin were currently resting in Brother Mi's small courtyard. If Brother Mi spat in there, mountain-blocking city would definitely send people to capture them. Although they might not be able to capsize them, it would definitely disturb the Fire Kirin, causing it to speed up the process of leaving Shunning City. Kill. Or, wait a little longer. Between the two choices, Lin Yuan's heart was infinitely inclined to kill, but his rationality was playing tricks on him. At this moment, a group of fast horses galloped slowly into Lin Yuan's line of sight. The one leading the group was the purple-eyed youth that Lin Yuan was looking for. However, at this moment, the purple-eyed youth looked obviously a little battered, and the personal guards behind him were all covered with injuries of various sizes. There were even two who were so severely injured that they could not even ride their horses. The purple-eyed youth at the front of the group did not seem to have any injuries, but the exhaustion on his face could not be concealed. During this period of time, he had been secretly inquiring about the purple-eyed youth, and even Brother Mi had failed. He did not expect that when the other party turned back to Shunning City, he would actually run into him. Stop. All of a sudden, a somewhat familiar thought appeared within Lei Fan's mind. Lei Fan was startled, and subconsciously used his left hand to pull on the reins, while his right hand landed on the hilt behind his waist. Young master! Young master! One by one, their gazes fell upon Lei Fan. Some were wary, some were frightened, and some even showed signs of helplessness. Their young master's sensitivity towards danger was no less than that of a wild beast. Along the way, every time he stopped, it meant that danger was near him. If not for his keen intuition, most of them would not have been able to make it here alive. But at this moment, things were not looking good. Don't think that the area around Shunning City was the territory of humans. However, there were quite a number of demonic beasts roaming around here, and each of them were the main force of the demonic beast tide. Hence, if they were to bump into demonic beasts here, it would be the most dangerous existence, and no one would be willing to die just a little bit outside the safety zone. Chapter 242. It's me, behind you to the right. Lin Yuan once again used his mind to say a sentence, and his heterochromatic pupils revealed a bit of indifference. Lei Fan followed Lin Yuan's instructions and slowly turned his gaze to the right, behind him, and could not help but let out a long sigh. This black snake that had disappeared for a long time had actually appeared before him in such a manner. But since it was a black snake, it meant that they had already escaped the death stare. You guys go on ahead, I have something to do. Lei Fan pulled on the reins and urged his horse towards Lin Yuan's direction. At the same time, he lowered his voice and said, "My safety will not be an issue and the matter I am going to do is very private. Execute the order immediately." As Lei Fan's personal guards, every single one of them was an existence akin to death warriors. When Lei Fan had turned his head around earlier, they had naturally seen He Shi standing at the right rear. If Lei Fan were to give the order to attack at this moment, they would definitely execute Lei Fan's orders without any hesitation. But towards Lei Fan's orders, a majority of them showed signs of hesitation on their faces. I said, execute the order. Seeing that his personal guards were not moving, Lei Fan's face darkened as he roared out. The group of personal guards then reluctantly urged their horses towards the direction of the campsite, but from time to time, they would turn back to look at Lei Fan, who was urging his horse towards the black snake, as if the black snake made any strange movements, they would immediately raise their swords and charge. About 2 minutes later, Lei Fan urged his horse to come before Lin Yuan, his deep purple eyes narrowing as he said in a low voice, "Yo, isn't this the Black Snake Beast King that has reigned supreme in the Hungduan Mountains? Why have you appeared here?" Looking at the calm and collected Black Snake, Lei Fan could not help but speak in a sarcastic tone. Although he did not know where his confidence came from, but he just felt that if the Black Snake had not left the Stoneclaw Forest some time ago, this war against the humans would not have started at all. "Don't speak in a sarcastic tone with me. I am here because I have something important to discuss with you." A cold glint flashed in Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes as he said, "You should know about the Fire Kirin. I met it some time ago and we are hiding together in Shunning City. You have to join hands with me to kill it. This will benefit both of us." Hearing Lin Yuan's straight-to-the-point words, Lei Fan was so angry that he almost laughed out loud. What level was the Fire Kirin? It was an existence that could wreak havoc in the Hungduan mountain range and challenge Kirin's rule. If they were to go against the Fire Kirin, wouldn't they be so embarrassed that they wouldn't even know how they died? Furthermore, the war against the Shunwu dynasty this time was instigated by the Beast Lord Kirin. Killing the Fire Kirin would not bring any benefits to the war. On the contrary, it would help the Beast Lord Kirin get rid of one of his greatest worries. If he waited until the Beast Lord Kirin no longer had any misgivings and decided to come out of seclusion once again, there would be countless casualties. When that time came, he, Lei Fan, would be a sinner. "You're trying to trick me again, Black Snake. I can King tell, you're just trying to trick me. Think about it yourself, aren't you going overboard? Ever since we started working together, I have tried my best to fulfill all your requests. But what I asked for, you have not fulfilled at all. Why can't I see that I have to kill the Fire Kirin no matter what? Can't you explain it to me? If I really kill the Fire Kirin, it won't bring me any benefits. Why should I and my men risk our lives to help you kill the Fire Kirin? Don't you think I look like a big idiot to you?" Lei Fan spoke very quickly, but all kinds of question marks kept popping up in his mind. All the dissatisfaction that he had been suppressing in his heart all this time exploded out at this moment. "Of course, it's to survive." Lin Yuan's eyes shone brightly as he replied with a smile. In a deep voice, he said, "You can't possibly be thinking that a desolate demon realm existence is hiding in a human city just to eat the specialty snacks of Shunning City, right? When the Fire Kirin attacks, even if you want to react, it will be too late. Also, only if you join hands with me to kill the Fire Kirin, then I can bring the head of the Fire Kirin to see the Beast Lord Kirin, or maybe someone who can talk to it, and ask them to stop their attack on Shunning City." At this point, Lin Yuan paused for a moment before he opened his mouth again and said, "You can't possibly be thinking that the demonic beasts really can't do anything to Shunning City, right? To put it bluntly, they can drive the low-level demonic beasts or wild beasts to attack Shunning City at any time, constantly consuming the energy and ammunition of your defensive array. Maybe you can hold on for 10 days. But can you hold on for a month, or 2 months? When his voice fell, Lin Yuan's eyes were filled with ridicule. As a stronghold of the Shunwu dynasty, Shunning City did indeed have the power to face the attacks of all the demonic beasts around the Stoneclaw Forest. But that was under normal circumstances. Now that the Shunwu dynasty was besieged on all sides, in a precarious situation, and could be destroyed at any time, the other 3 fronts of the war were constantly receiving urgent battle reports and requests for reinforcements. The allocation of resources was also given to the other 3 fronts as soon as possible. As for the 7 border cities that were abandoned from the beginning, and were only used to delay the demonic beasts in the Hungduan Mountains, it was impossible for them to receive any supplies. Lin Yuan knew this point, and Lei Fan knew it even better. Most of the demonic beasts' reproductive ability was extremely terrifying, especially the low-level demonic beasts, who could give birth to 7 to 8 cubs in one litter. Every year, in order to relieve the pressure on the Hungduan Mountains, those demonic beasts with no potential would be sent out to form a demonic beast tide to die in the human cities. But this time, if the demonic beasts really wanted to use the shameless demonic beast tide tactic, the humans would have no way to stop them. Exchanging 10 low-level demonic beasts for 1 human, it was a profit for the demonic beasts. All kinds of crossbows and cannons could cause a large amount of damage to the low-level demonic beasts, but in the current situation where the ammunition was limited, Shunning City could only grit their teeth and engage in close combat with the low-level demonic beasts, leaving the ammunition for the high-level demonic beasts behind. With the head of the Fire Kirin, how confident are you in persuading the Beast Lord Kirin to withdraw his troops? After calmly pondering for a moment, Lei Fan took the initiative to ask. The disparity in strength between the two sides was too great, and no matter how hard he tried, he could not think of a way to break the stalemate. About 40%, but although I do not have full confidence in persuading the Beast Lord Kirin to withdraw his troops, I can still make these demonic beasts stop their attacks and give you some time to catch your breath. As for the specifics, it still depends on whether the imperial family of the Shunwu dynasty is willing to cooperate or not. If they are willing, I can think of a way to let the Shunwu dynasty continue to exist, and at the same time, retain a certain amount of land. Lin Yuan did not say anything big, but just replied Lei Fan's question in a casual manner. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.